Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Persona 3 for what is going to be the final time we're seeing the journey, because today we've got the ultimate bonus boss of the game to face off against. Now, very important thing to note about this bonus boss in Persona 3 FES, you can only fight it on New Game Plus. Ditto for Persona 3 Vanilla. In Persona 3 Portable and Persona 3 Reload, you are fully capable of fighting the game's ultimate bonus boss on your first playthrough, should you so desire to pursue that. Another thing to note about it, and this is true for both Portable and FES, you absolutely want to make sure that you actually accept the request to face the ultimate opponent. Far below, beyond a door by the entrance of Tartarus, lies the ultimate adversary. Please fight this opponent alone. Take note of that. If you violate that commandment, you will regret it. So let's take this request, and to reach this fight, we need to go to the end of Monad. Originally, there was just some money for us there, but with this request accepted, a foe will be awaiting us for us to face off against. And unfortunately, there is not really a fast way to get to this floor. You just have to bear with going back through the entirety of Monad. So we're just going to have to do that as efficiently as I can. I'm not going to bother you with having to watch me do that. Let's go. Alright, here we are at floor 9, ready to enter floor 10 and see what fearsome foe awaits us. Before we get there, I would like to just note that should you die in FES and Portable on this fight, which is very likely if you don't know what's coming, you have to take that entire walk back here again. Every single time you want to take an attempt. It took me about 5 minutes to get here. I got relatively lucky with this placement of the stairs on each floor, but you can very easily find yourself getting a sequence of bad floors where it will take you just several minutes to advance a single floor in Monad. And note that even with a level 99 persona, not every shadow is afraid of you in Monad. You will still have stuff that will try to chase you down and potentially force you into encounters, so be mindful of what your vulnerabilities are. Speaking of our vulnerabilities, we are actually going to be entering this fight with a scant few of those. I want to go over my equipment for this fight, as well as the key players in my Persona stock for dealing with it. So, the first thing to note that I have is a Mother Saber. This is a saber that was fused with Orpheus Talos. It has 1 attack power, but it has plus resist magic high. I'm not exactly sure how much this affects incoming magic damage, but it's definitely in the about 20% to 25% range that it reduces magic damage. Very nice. Even better than that, we have the Armor of Light. In addition to having 170 defense power, it comes with the Resist Fizz High ability. This can also resist magic, which is less preferable for this fight because the physical attacks coming from this bonus boss, definitely some of the scariest. The shoes I'm wearing do not matter at all because of the accessory I have, Divine Pillar. There are 2 accessories that you can use for this fight that generally improve your odds of winning dramatically. Divine Pillar is one of them. As you can see, it lowers damage received, but you cannot dodge. This outright halves all incoming damage, in addition to any reduction multipliers you already have, so it is a pretty significant reduction of the incoming damage, but like it says, it flatly disables your ability to dodge, so this is why my shoes do not matter for this fight. If I didn't have capped out Personae for the relevant stats, I suppose I could get a pair of shoes that increases my stats, but that hardly matters. Incidentally, the Armor of Light is one of several things that Messiah can produce once he learns all his skills. Speaking of, he's my first key player for this fight. Very good persona for this fight, resistant to all of the core elements, and his light repel, darkness weakness doesn't matter for what we're going to be dealing with in this boss fight. The fact that he is not resistant to any physical skills, though, is rather problematic, but it shouldn't hold me back too much. As you can see, he has Niflheim, Ice Boost, Ice Amp, he has God's Hand, which isn't going to see any use, Regenerate 3, which actually is pretty nice in this fight, because it is essentially 59 HP restored at the start of every turn, effectively reducing the amount of damage the boss is dealing to us on the previous turn by 59. He also has High Counter to periodically deflect physical attacks back at the boss. This has a 20% chance of proccing whenever a physical attack is thrown our way. If it procs at least a couple times, that'll help me out immensely. Finally, he has Enduring Soul. Enduring Soul gives us a free mulligan whenever we screw up and die, if I screw up and die, which can happen, and fully restores our HP to 999. Incidentally, when you reach level 99 in Persona 3 FES and Portable, your HP and SP are automatically increased to 999. Pretty cool, pretty cool. The second key player that we have is Orpheus Talos. As you can see, he doesn't have a filled out skill list. There are 4 skills of note here. Ragnarok with Fire Boost and Fire Amp, Mind Charge, which is actually useful in this fight. All his stats are capped except for Strength, because I'm not really going to be doing any attacking with him. And finally, he has Evade Strike, just because I couldn't get a better skill on him. Ideally, that's High Counter, but it took me like an hour of shuffling just to get these skills. I can win without the high counter on Orpheus Talos. Orpheus Talos is resistant to everything, not immune to everything though, which is very important for this fight. I created him via triangle spread, so 5 skills is the most that he could get. There is a hexagon spread that can get him with 8 skills, but it takes forever to set up all the component personae for that, and I don't feel like investing all the resources to get that many high-end personae created with all the skills that I could care to have for this fight. Now, the reason I don't care about Orpheus Talos having a completely filled out skill list is because of my third key player here, Aliat. Excuse me. Aliat is resistant to all physical attacks, and I've got her with Unshaken Will, Null Poison, and High Counter. Also regenerate 3 for a little bit of HP restoration when I switch into her. This will completely wall out one of the attack patterns that the upcoming bonus boss will throw at us. Very useful to have this. The other skills do not matter at all. One thing to note though is that I did not want Aliat to level up to get Repel Slash. That would actually be very bad for this fight, for reasons that we'll be getting into later. In fact, it can learn all physical repels. You don't want any of those. Those will cause you to lose this fight. The other notable players here, you may have noticed I have Fornius here. He has Resist Fire, he has Resist Slash, and if I could have gotten it onto him, I would have liked to have High Counter, but I mostly just cared about having Resist Slash and Resist Fire. He's here because he pairs with Decaravia to cast Best Friends, which will apply all of the Kaja buffs to the protagonist in a single turn. Very useful thing to have for this upcoming fight, and there's a completely free turn where we can set that up. Other notable players are Vishnu, who isn't here for any particular purpose except to enable Ananta here to utilize the Infinity skill. We need that fusion spell in order to survive this fight. I also created Ananta with all 3 regenerate types, so the turn that I have to switch to him, he'll also restore a decent amount of HP to me, should I need it. We also have Satan, who doesn't serve any particular purpose except to pair with Hallel here to allow us to cast Armageddon, which is necessary to win this fight. We can't win the fight immediately with it, but we do need to cast it after a certain point. Note that Hallel is actually also resistant to all physical skills like Aliat, so if I was planning for it a bit more, I actually would have set him up with Unshaken Will and Null Poison and High Counter, because he has Mind Charge by default. Very helpful thing to have for this fight, and the turn where he would have been switched in on in place of Aliat, he wouldn't be doing any attacks anyway, so it's basically a no-brainer action to use for him on that. Besides that, the last persona of note, Lucifer serves no purpose here, he just happens to be in my list, is Raphael. He has a very singular purpose. He has all the auto-buffing skills, specifically all the auto-team buffing skills. I'm just going to enter the fight with him equipped in order to have all the buffs ready to go. With that established, we're going to go over this a little bit more again in Persona 3 Portable and Reload, but a lot of the setup should be pretty similar, so it won't take me as long to go over it, particularly for Portable. And hey, what's Elizabeth doing here? Where's the fearsome foe? Where's the ultimate opponent? Maybe she's gonna lead us to him.
I have been waiting for you. The adversary I asked you to defeat is now standing before you. Yes, I am referring to myself. I have long sought an understanding of who I am, just as you and my master have done. Those who set foot in the Velvet Room are all destined to embark on this search for identity. I have come to know power in many forms. If I face one whose power exceeds my own, then I may discover an answer to my question. The truth of my existence. You may be able to give me that answer. Will you do me the honor of fighting me?
Well, we came this far. I wasn't expecting this, but yes, our ultimate opponent is Elizabeth. How tough could she possibly be?
You have my thanks. Now, shall we begin?
Who is that? Is it just me? Or does it seem like she wants to fight? What? Her power is unbelievable! Who is she?
Alright, our allies don't know who Elizabeth is. Anyway, for this first turn, you don't have anything in particular to worry about with Elizabeth here. You just want to switch to something that isn't immune to fire. For reasons that I'll explain in a second, we're going to switch to Orpheus Talos on this first turn, and we're going to fire off a Ragnarok real quick. I could also set up a Mind Charge, but I don't think that's very efficient for this first turn. I'd rather do this instead.
I make my living as an elevator attendant, but I know several effective ways of inflicting pain. Don't worry, I'm not as fragile as I look. Try to kill me, if you can.
And there Elizabeth goes into her attacking there. Now note how that said that was a strike attack there. In Persona 3 FES, that is a damn dirty lie. All of Elizabeth's attacks, regardless of what they say, or her physical attacks rather, they are actually slash type. In Persona 3 Portable and Reload, they are actually the physical type they say they are. I'm not sure if that's a bug, an oversight, or just a deliberate attempt to trick the player, but the only physical resistance that really matters in Persona 3 FES is slash resistance, which is why Fornius has that. Speaking of, you may have noticed that Elizabeth also blasted off a Maragidine with Cert there. The way this fight works is that every turn, Elizabeth is going to switch to a specific persona. On the succeeding turn, we have to hit that persona with something that it isn't immune to. Obviously, Cert is immune to fire. Specifically, he drains it at triple the power rate, so that's damage that we deal, it'll heal Elizabeth for a lot more than we would deal if we hit something that she was actually weak to. Speaking of, Elizabeth has weaknesses for every persona she has. Not in the sense that it knocks her down, but using the correct spell deals more damage. I don't feel it's particularly practical to kit yourself out for this, but on this turn right here, we can easily exploit Cert's ice weakness with Niflheim here, dealing a pretty good 700 damage with all the buffs that we have in effect here. Next, she switched to Jack Frost, so we want to hit him with fire. And then every succeeding attack after that, didn't get the, let me think here. Do I want to risk it? I think I'll risk it, because I'm not super pressed if I lose at this point. I can just come back this way. What is it? Oh man, I lost my train of thought here. So, Jack Frost is vulnerable to fire. I can hit it with Orpheus Talos' Ragnarok, and then everything after Jack Frost is not immune to Ragnarok. It doesn't take as much damage as or Elizabeth doesn't take as much damage from Ragnarok as she does when I hit her when she has Jack Frost set. By the way, the next one coming up is Thor. Oh, that could be problematic. Okay, thankfully she did not. That is one of those things that is a little difficult to account for. Elizabeth can crit us there, and she can get an extra turn off of that. So I'm gonna, let's see here, I'm gonna do something a little bit counterintuitive here. Our buffs have expired. I want to switch to Messiah here, because he has the high counter skill. So I can potentially counter a physical attack coming from Elizabeth here when she attacks here. You're going to want a good supply of beads, and you are going to want a good supply of Somas. Let's see, we got 18 here. Good to keep note of that number there. We will start to worry if we get down to less than 10 Somas. For right now, though, I just want to use a bead to heal myself. Note that I also have a good supply of homunculi. I have about 18. That'll be coming up in a little bit why that's important. Alright, that's a little unfortunate there that we didn't get the counter, but it's not super critical that I get a ton of those. There, Regenerate coming in, putting us at 600 HP. Now we definitely want to switch back to Orpheus Talos, because this will lead us into to something that I have not explained yet. I said earlier, you do not want to be immune to anything that Elizabeth is about to do. If you happen to be immune to anything Elizabeth is about to do, she will fire off a Megidown that deals your full HP in damage. Okay, that's unfortunate. This next persona she switches to is Metatron, as you can see. Okay, good, we got the dodge there. Pretty consistent with Orpheus Talos and having, what do I want to do here? What I want to do here is I want to do Mind Charge. A little bit risky if she does 2 physical attacks in a row, but we should have enough HP to survive it, provided she does not crit. Okay, no crit there. Another one. Okay, that's a little scary, but we're fine. We're fine. So I'm playing a little risky here just to show some stuff off. Other things that cause Elizabeth to hit you with Megidown. By the way, since she didn't actually cast a skill there, she was Alice, and she'll use Mamudones on that phase. I didn't really draw attention to Kukulin when he came in either, but yeah, that was Kukulin was the wind attacker that she uses. This final attacker that she uses is Nebiros, and he uses ailment skills. Ailment immunities are the one exception to Elizabeth's auto-kill rule. She does not auto-kill you for ailment immunities. That's why I set up Alilat with them. Now, the trick comes in after Nebiros. She's going to switch to Masakado and cast those Megidolowns I mentioned earlier every time when she gets to this point. So we need to be able to resist those. We need to be immune to that damage. There's exactly one way you can accomplish this. Ananta and Vishnu's fusion skill, Infinity. You need to have these two in order to cast the skill for this turn, or you cannot get any further in the fight. Incidentally, I was going to say earlier, the other thing that makes Elizabeth do this is if you come in with any party members, she will just auto-kill you. Remember, she has to fight alone. Persona 3 Reload also forbids the use of the high counter or counter skill line here. This will also trigger Megidolowns. Now that she's done this, the fight now falls into a pretty predictable pattern here. We're going to do our last trick here that I've got set up. We're going to switch to Fornius because her pattern loops at this point. She's going to switch back to Cert, and she is going to start hitting us with whatever physical attack she decides to use, as well as Maragidyne. Fornius is set up to resist fire, which he's normally weak to, but we can overwrite that with fire resist, and he has resist slash so that he will not be hurt by any of Elizabeth's physical attacks, and that allows us to set up best friends, putting us back to a similar state that we were at the beginning of the fight. So, now that we've got that all established, the other thing to note for the rest of this battle is that, ooh, that's unfortunate. Unfortunate, but not the end of the world that it happened. That does mean I'm going to probably need to heal on the Jack Frost turn. A little frustrating, but not a big deal. Let's switch to Messiah over here. Ideally, Elizabeth doesn't fire off 2 physical attacks. That's the only thing that kind of makes me sweat, but I'm not too worried about it. Now, we have Mind Charge in play here. Very nice damage. Elizabeth has 20,000 HP, and our goal... No high counter there. No high counter there either. We are going to switch into Orpheus Talos here, and we are going to use a Soma here. Somas are a good way to track our turn counts here, because like I was trying to say, when we use up a specific number of turns, Elizabeth will then switch to a new pattern where she always switches to Masakado and always fires off those max power Megidolowns. She will just keep doing that and doing that and doing that until you are dead. And obviously you can only cast Infinity so many times in a row before your SP runs out. So yeah, not something you want to find yourself on the receiving end of. Let's switch to... I'm actually going to play it a little bit more cautiously here. I was thinking of switching to Messiah here, but because of the situation I'm going into this on, I actually want to stay on Orpheus Talos here, so we'll just get a little bit of damage going from him there. Okay, that's what I'm looking at here. I'm going to go for a... Let's go for a bead and then a mind charge. Note that Alice and Metatron are not weak to anything, and the only thing that really affects them are physical skills. Not something I can really make use of in this situation. So I'm Metatron right now, but I need to set up the mind charge, so we will just give ourselves that real quick. She's being surprisingly aggressive with this. If I reach this point in her pattern where I have less than 800 HP, I'm gonna use Alilat just as an opportunity to throw up a bead here. Remember, Nebulose is coming in with its ailment skills, so we will want to be immune to those. Unshaken Will covers you against most ailments except for poison, so that's why I have null poison mixed in there. A lot of people neglect to have that, and it does create some complications here. Note that you could also have Salvation to cure poison if that's something that is proving to be a consistent worry for you. But that's not something I'm obviously I'm not worried about it, and it's not really something I'd like to deal with in the turn cycle, so I like to have a dedicated persona for walling out Nebulose there. That is a common misconception people have for this fight, where they will just do their best to set up Orpheus Talos to cover everything, which he simply cannot do, and it makes you less effective overall. Makes the fight a lot harder and a lot less consistent as well, so not something I would recommend. I think the way I've got this set up is probably the ideal way to handle it. So, Elizabeth has 20,000 HP, and our goal is to get her under 10,000 and then immediately end the fight with Armageddon by switching to either Hallel or Satan. It doesn't particularly matter. As long as they are using Armageddon, that will end the fight there. Now we're going to switch to Fornius to cast Best Friends. But there is one particular trick you need to be wary of that'll be coming up later. So, with Resist Slash and the Armor of Light and Rock Kukajan effect, you'll see here that her attacks generally deal less damage than Maragidine, but I would kind of prefer it if she uses Maragidine, just because I never have to worry about a crit coming through. So we're going to deal some pretty good damage here with the Mind Charge and the Weakness. If we can hit Elizabeth's two weaknesses in a row, Ice and the...
Magnificent. Your power is every bit as impressive as I'd hoped. But the curtain has just risen. Show me your best performance.
And then Fire. We can generally notch about 2,000 damage every single cycle. Let's see what we got here. Okay, we should be fine here. I'm not too nervous here. We're going to switch to Orpheus Talos. As long as it's just one mob Bufudine, I can probably weather the storm against anything else she decides to do. Note that Thor, he is actually immune to the slash type damage, and the game does account for that if you proc a counter. Ooh. Oh, we lost. That's okay. That's just one of those things that you can't really account for, and that is one of those things that Messiah does account for us with. However, I do have something here that helps me out. I've completed all the fusion requests, so that gives me a second shot at the Elizabeth fight. I can use the Plume of Dusk here to try again. And yeah, that's essentially a one-time use Enduring Soul. Not something I want to have to use, but I had to use it. So now we've got another mulligan. I actually didn't know how the Plume of Dusk worked, so that was kind of interesting. That was kind of cool, actually. So yeah, now we can just carry on. The only mulligan I have is in Messiah now. I'm switching over to him just in case I get a counter proc here. And again, I do have that mulligan in Enduring Soul, so I don't need to worry too much about what Elizabeth does here. Let me think. Do I want to blast her with Ragnarok? Let's see. My HP is too low for that, I think, so I will instead just switch to Orpheus Talos again. And what I'll do here is I will set up a Mind Charge, and then we'll heal after that. So she's coming into Metatron. Okay, here comes a Pierce attack. And a Mahamon. We actually haven't had any of our homunculi eaten up yet, which is really unusual. Some people recommend you have like 40 of these. I think that's a little bit overkill if you're prepared for this fight. Let me see here. We're going to want to use a bead. I actually don't need to use a Soma because I have the Plume of Dusk recovering me there. Here, we're finally seeing Alice come out. So that's actually, yeah, I didn't know that's how the Plume of Dusk worked. There's not really anything else that warrants that for a fight, so may as well use it here, right? And there goes one of our homunculi. How about another one? Yeah, 2. That's okay, we're a bit ahead on those. Alright, so I'm gonna switch to Alilat here, and since we're already fully healed, I can do something that's, you know, every little bit helps. We only have 1 attack power, so... Ah, god damn. That's not the end of the world, though, because thankfully, ailment skills do lift you back up. If we were knocked down when she... What's it? Yeah, that's does put us in one bit of a bad situation, but it's okay because we will be switching into Messiah, so I'm not going to be at full HP when the pattern loops again. I'm going to be a little bit worse off than I would like to be there. That's not the end of the world. Like I keep saying, I've got the mulligan with Messiah and his Enduring Soul, so that will just slow us down a little bit. The worst it means is that I won't be able to strike the fire weakness that Jack Frost has, but I should still be able to blast off a couple more Ragnaroks, so that's fine. Alright, and the regenerates are finally going to put me in a bit more of a safe situation rather than just re-establishing the fact that I have full HP. So, again, we're looping around, and we are going to have Fornius up best friends for us, which will put us in a pretty good situation. Reduce the damage, increase the damage, or reduce the damage we take, increase the damage that we're going to be laying out. So, now that I've laid out most of the basics for this fight, really, the alternative build I was talking about for this, that's not the Divine Pillar, so it'll be a little scary, but I'm willing to risk it. But the other accessory you can use, and I will be using this in Persona 3 Portable, to make things a little bit more interesting, is the Barbaric Bracers. The Barbaric Bracers are a unique accessory that you get from Chiyu, the Persona Chiyu. They are the item that he can produce, and they give you Omni Evade. That gives you a huge evasion increase to every single attack type in the game. Very nice thing to have, really. Okay, so we're going to switch over to Orpheus Talos here, and this is a good opportunity to use a Soma here. That actually does kind of throw, the Plume of Dust did kind of throw off my count, so I need to remember that it's 9 is the count where I should be a little worried for my Somas here. Alright, what I'll do here... You know what? I think what I want to do is I will just do 2 Ragnaroks in a row. I'm not going to bother fishing for a high counter here. I'm just going to let Orpheus Talos do some of the damage for us here.
Your fate is in the cards.
Okay. Let's see here. Do I want to attack and risk not being able to get the Mind Charge off? Actually, yeah, I think that will be fine for this. But I might not be able to get the Mind Charge off if she decides to attack twice, or attack at all. Oh my god, are you kidding me? Mahamon coming out. We really need her to do that twice in a row now. Okay, I lose for real that time.
Can you withstand this?
Alright, I'm back to where I was about in the fight previously. Yeah, there are certain things that no amount of planning you can really account for in this fight. Critical hits are unfortunately one of them. Nice! Oh, come on, go for another one, Elizabeth. Can't expect everything, but yeah. Sometimes you are just going to get hit with critical hits, and there is nothing you can do about that. Case in point, on the 3rd turn, the first cycle of this fight, Jack Frost just critted me and then just deleted my health when I had Messiah equipped early on. So I don't have Enduring Soul in effect anymore for the rest of this battle. Fortunately, I still have the universal get-out-of-jail-free card that is the Plume of Dust, so I still have that at my disposal. Elizabeth is actually hitting a very specific threshold at this point. We're likely to see her hit it within the... If not this cycle, the next cycle for sure. Right now, I definitely just want to use a Soma here to top myself off. I could fish for a high counter proc with Messiah, but since Enduring Soul has already been hidden, I don't really want to risk it. And I can definitely win the fight well ahead of the turn limit with what I've got here. Let's hit Elizabeth with Ragnarok, and we might just get her past a particular threshold. Okay, we did not, but it will definitely be coming up in the next... That puts me in an interesting spot. I'm gonna play a little risky here. This just went wrong, but like I said, I still have the Plume of Dust, so even if I do get hit with a crit here, I'm not gonna sweat it too much. Okay, I can definitely survive one as long as it's not critical. Okay, that's fine. That's fine, don't worry. Fuka. You panicking makes me panic too. But we're fine, we're fine. Oh, we are not fine. That was a mistake, I was supposed to switch to,
Your fate is
I was
in
supposed
your
to switch to, oh crap. I was supposed to switch to Ollie there. That's going to make things a little bit more complicated, but it's not a huge deal. Let me see. I definitely need to use Ananta here. So now I'm poisoned. Fortunately, that protected me against the sexy dance. Yeah, there is a lot of moving parts in this fight, so sometimes you will make mistakes like that, especially if Elizabeth just decides to not use her persona. It is just so easy to lose track of what you are on here, so let me think. What I want to do here... Ooh, this is actually a really interesting situation to find myself in. I definitely want to get best friends up, so what I'm going to do here is I am going to switch to Fornius. I'm going to have to eat a little bit of the poison damage, which is going to make things not super desirable, but manageable. So we're going to do that. We're going to take that poison damage right there. Here comes some Maragidines, probably a physical strike also. Oh no, just 2 Maragidines. Okay. Then what we're going to do here is we're going to switch to Orpheus Talos, and we are going to just use a Disc Poison to get rid of that poison. Fortunately, I've got 5 million of those in reserve, so yeah, that's one of those cases where a simple sequencing error like that can really cause some big problems. It's not a huge deal, but it is frustrating that I made a mistake like that. Frost is, or Ice is surprisingly not, or Frozen, not that big a deal because it just does so little. Alright, so what we're going to do here is we're going to just get ourselves back on cycle here. We're going to use the Soma. We're only going to get like a 600 damage mind-charged attack off on Elizabeth here, but that's actually not going to be that big of a deal for reasons that we'll see probably as soon as I attack her. So I just want to get a good look at Elizabeth's HP gauge here. Alright, so that is over 10,000 HP. Just keep that in mind. That's what we saw right there is over 10,000 HP.
Marvelous. You wield such power. The performance is underway. I shall give you something to remember.
And once Elizabeth falls under 10,000 HP, she uses Dia Rahana herself, and then she just repeats the action that she just took. She doesn't advance to her next persona in this situation, so you don't need to worry about that. Alright, I'm gonna play it a little bit more cautiously. The fight has been reset. Now, I want to address a very common misconception about this battle that is often shared when people are getting guides on it. It is often said that if that Dia Rahana happens, the fight has become unwinnable and you cannot complete it anymore. This is not true. The common strategy you see for clearing this battle is to get Elizabeth just above 10,000 HP, then wait for her to do a physical attack for her second action in a turn, and then hope high counter procs to put her under 10,000 HP, and then you use Armageddon to finish her off. This is obviously a very, very silly thing to do that I would not recommend. Okay, she was definitely on Metatron there, so let's just get a little poke in there. 30 damage is 30 damage, you know? Okay, 28 damage. But that is not true. While this does represent a reset of the fight state, you can beat Elizabeth through just dealing damage to her. We just need to get that 10,000 HP depleted again, and she only uses Dia Rahana at that threshold one time. It is not something we have to worry about for the rest of the fight, unless we get her under 5,000 HP. Then she does use Dia Rahana again, but at that point you've probably exhausted so many turns that you'd have no chance of winning the fight anyway, so that's kind of a non-starter right there. Counter? Yes! Heck yeah. Neburos is a little bit more resistant to slash damage there, but every counter that we get there does help us out a little bit. I was on the proper persona this time. When Elizabeth falls under 5,000 HP, she will use Dia Rahana again, but fortunately, it's pretty easy to eyeball her health bar and know when she's under 10,000 but above 5,000, and once she's at that point, then we can use Armageddon to finish the battle. So that's our goal. We just need to do another 10,000 damage, and then hit her with Armageddon to clear out the battle. Now, if I'm able to hit her with the Mind Charge Niflheim and Ragnarok right after, that is 2,000 damage per cycle. So, minimum, I need 5 cycles to put this fight away. Probably I can get it done a little bit faster if I'm able to squeeze in a Ragnarok on Kukulin, and also, of course, just random high counter procs expedite this process immensely. Even though I'm not going to be relying on the high counter cheese to win this fight, and in fact I don't have it on Orpheus Talus at all, so the number of turns I can actually benefit from it are quite limited. It is still a good idea to have high counter on as many things as possible in FES and Portable, just to make sure you get those procs when they can happen. It's only a 20% chance, but hey, it's better than nothing, right? And we've already seen a couple procs across this battle so far, so it's paying off a little bit.
Your fate's in the cards.
That's actually preferable. I don't have to risk any crits. It's 60 extra damage over if she did 2 physical hits, but I'll gladly take that over not having to run the risk of a crit. Also remember that we still have our Plume of Dusk at this point, so we're in a pretty good situation. I can play a little risky, and I'll have one get-out-of-jail-free card in my pocket, so that's a pretty good situation to find ourselves in. It would be nice if I got a high counter here. No. Like I said, I've got that get-out-of-jail-free card, so I'm going to play a little bit risky. If I didn't have the Plume of Dusk, I'd definitely just pass on getting the Ragnarok out this turn and go for some healing. This is just another frustrating thing that you have to deal with when it comes to the physical attacks, is that I wouldn't have to worry about that damage at all if she was just throwing Mabufudines on me. Even if it is a little bit more damage overall, just because my cumulative resistance to it isn't as high, it's much more survivable than the physical attacks without physical resistance, as well as I don't have to worry about the crits. Okay, so we are on the 5th cycle at this point, because we're at 13 Somas. Remember, we haven't used the Plume of Dusk in this attempt at the fight. Okay, I'll go for a Ragnarok here gladly. Get 350 extra damage in there. We just want to be mindful of all the damage that's coming out. Beautiful when Metatron just goes immediately into a Mahamon. As long as I'm only taking 1 physical attack per cycle of this, I should be fine. Yo. That means I can get in the Mind Charge, even if Alice physical attacks twice, as long as there are no crits. Again, knock on wood with that. I don't have to worry about that killing me. Alright, so there comes another physical attack. And, ooh, that's a problem, because we're about to see something kind of obnoxious about insta-kill skills. They do not rate you, so I'm gonna lose my turn here, most likely. Ah, that sucks. But we do have the Plume of Dusk to revive me. Now, what's she gonna do here? She's still got her turn. Evil Smile. That's annoying, but it's not the end of the world. Okay, so I just need to make it through this turn. Persona changed, and don't get gripped with fear. Don't get gripped with fear. We did not get gripped with fear, okay. This is going to force me to behave a little bit differently on this coming turn. And yeah, crits, there's just nothing you can do to really account for those. You just have to deal with them when they come. So now I'm going to have to switch to a bit more of a conservative strategy now that both of my mulligans have been exhausted. I don't have Enduring Soul, and I don't have the Plume of Dust. Alright, so we're not going to be able to set up Best Friends. We're going to have to just suffer some more damage for this turn. But I need to get... Ah, god damn it. Okay, never mind. We just lose.
I apologize in Oh no! Persona!
I'd just like to take this time to say, this is the first time in FES where I'm having battles go down just due to bad luck with getting critical hits, and it's also the first time I've ever had to use the Plume of Dusk, because all my previous attempts I've either didn't have it, or I just didn't need to use it. So yeah, my luck is on point today. I have had to use Enduring Soul, though, so that's not anything too new. Anyways, I've been keeping track of my damage after the Dia Rahan on a scratch pad here. We're somewhere in the ballpark of 8,200 damage done to Elizabeth after she has used Dia Rahan here. So in theory, if I can hit her with the 1-2 combo of Niflheim for 1300 damage, and then follow it up with a Ragnarok for an additional 700 damage, that should put her in the range to be killed by Armageddon. I'll definitely want to keep a close eye on her health bar to make sure it looks like it's more than 50% depleted. Remember, that's not an exact readout, so you are definitely playing it a little risky if you aren't keeping an exact total. But for stuff that was like close to a 100 marker, like in the 90 range, I rounded that up. And anything less than like 70, I rounded that down. So I should hopefully be roughly close. I didn't keep the exact numbers because I didn't feel like that was necessary. Anyways, let's get the best friends buff going here to make sure our Niflheim in Ragnarok are as potent as they possibly can be. And here comes the Maragidine. I've got a good feel for these combos that Elizabeth does and what HP they leave me out. This usually leaves me with around a 750, which is a pretty comfortable amount. I could potentially get lucky enough here that she procs a high crit to put herself into Armageddon range, which would technically allow me to do a less clean version of the, what is it? The Dia Rahan skip strategy. Okay, here comes the Maragidine. Do I want to risk that? Oh. It's one of those hard decisions, honestly. You know what? No guts, no glory. We're gonna go for it. If I get this right, all I have to do is use a Soma to top up my SP, because remember, Armageddon costs your entire SP gauge. Yeah, that's definitely that. Okay, the camera did not zoom around, so we're good there. Comes another slash attack. That's a little scary, but that's okay. Now, I'm actually going to do something a little counterintuitive here. Even though Orpheus Talos conveys me more defense, I do want to be on Messiah here, because his Enduring Soul is still in effect. So regardless of what happens here, I should be fine. So use the Soma here. We're down to 10 if we count the Plume of Dusk as a Soma. It would actually be kind of unfortunate. That definitely puts her in range. So we have max SP. Now we can switch to Satan, and we can just pop off with Armageddon, and we will win this fight. Just to note that if you use Armageddon prematurely, if it does not kill Elizabeth, that also prompts a counter insta-kill Megadolon, but that is the fight cleared in Persona 3 FES. That took me 3 tries, and I'm kind of frustrated with that, because the reason I recorded this on the particular day I'm recording is just the night before, with this exact same loadout. I got this on the first try when I was completely wasted on bottom shelf red wine, and I accidentally healed Elizabeth for like 2,000 HP on a cycle, so it's a little annoying that I just got serious bad luck with crits and losing the Plume of Dusk. That made this a lot scarier than it needed to be.
I believed that I would find my answer when I challenged one who was stronger than me. But I was wrong. I have received no such revelation, not even in defeat. Wait, I am mistaken. The answer is this. Only I can decide who I am. Now, I believe congratulations are in order. You have overcome the most difficult obstacle I've placed in your path. You shall receive your reward, the same as always. But please accept this as well. It is no reward. It is a sign of my gratitude.
You accepted the gift. Obtained Platinum Bookmark. To my knowledge, this item does not do anything.
Well then, good day.
And after the battle, we can talk to Elizabeth one more time. Thank you for the wonderful time. Now please, make your way to the entrance. I have some thinking to do. I shall see you again in the Velvet Room. Let's meet Elizabeth in the Velvet Room. Remember that that was a request, and we do need to accept our quest reward. You seem to have completed a request. Just a moment while I check. Clearly, this request requires no confirmation. It was the last thing I'll ask of you. This shall be the last reward you receive. It is a gift of the ultimate power. No matter where you go or what you do, you are sure to persevere. Thank you so much for indulging my curiosity. Please accept your reward. We get the Omnipotent Orb, the ultimate accessory in Persona 3. You can potentially get this from Messiah when he produces an item, but it's a less than 1% chance. This is the only guaranteed way to get this item, and it gives you immunity to everything except almighty damage. Completely useless, because we've already defeated the toughest enemy in the game, who, by the way, if you come into the fight with this equipped, she also auto-kills you, so don't try to be cute like that on a further New Game Plus playthrough. Also, I do actually have one more request to do for Elizabeth, so that's she is kind of misspeaking there, but that's neither here nor there. Also note that I've got 100% compendium completion, and the prices are still expensive. Platinum Bookmark gets you no discount, and maxing out the compendium also does not get you a discount. Rather frustrating. Anyway, this actually ended up taking almost 2 hours. Hopefully I can get the Persona 3 portable attempt a little bit faster. So let's move on over to that and see how I do there. Alright, now it's time to take on Theo instead, in Persona 3 Portable. There are some key changes to keep in mind for Portable and the version of the fight with Elizabeth or Theo, and that is related to actually building up your Personae, as well as what kind of options are a bit more viable in this version. Note that it is way easier to get Personae ready for this fight in this version of the game, because you can just card everything you need onto them. For my purposes, the only thing you can't card are the tier 4 elemental spells, so that is something that you do have to get naturally, but everything else you can just find cards for it. And there are some interesting distinctions with my build here between Persona 3 FES and Persona 3 Portable. First off, I've got Sharp Student on every Persona that I'm going to be using. I've got a core rotation of 3 Personae that I'm going to be switching to. This will minimize the chance that I get critically struck. Getting crit in Persona 3 Portable is basically a guaranteed game over. Due to the fact that they deal around 2.5x damage, it is just not very likely you're going to survive after that hits. Also note that we don't have the Plume of the Dusk in this game, so our only options for surviving that kind of situation are Enduring Soul and Endure, which is very luck-based, because that has to be on the last action they do, and you need to dodge. Speaking of dodging, we'll get into that in a second. Other than that, I want you to note Messiah here has a unique skill in Persona 3 Portable that was expanded upon in Persona 3 Reload, but we'll get to that later. Magic Skill Up. This flatly increases magic damage by a 1.25x multiplier. This includes almighty skills and conventional elemental skills, so it stacks with these two in order to give you a huge damage boost. Very fantastic skill, and it is strictly exclusive to Messiah. Only he gets it. It cannot be inherited via fusion, so that is actually a pretty cool option that he has in this version, and makes him pretty good. You'll also note that I have Resist Slash, because Theodore, this does not give me full physical protection like it does in Persona 3 FES. They actually do properly make the element of the physical attack match the one that it says. It's not all slash, but for when I'm actually wheeling out Messiah, that is the attack I'm most frequently going to be facing down, so I figured I'd just get that mixed in. Next up, we've got Orpheus Talos over here. With skill cards, I'm actually able to get him fully set up with a Ragnarok setup, as well as Regenerate 3, a spare copy of Enduring Soul in case I need it, and he's going to be the one we're using the most often, so if anybody is going to proc this, it's going to be him. Sharp Student, of course, Mind Charge to set up for big Niflheim hits when Theo is vulnerable to ice, and there is a very interesting niche pick here, Null Shock. I mentioned already that critical hits are super dangerous, and if we get shocked from Theo's electric phase, that is a guaranteed game over. There's just no surviving that. So I actually got Null Shock onto Orpheus Talos. There's no card that gives you this. You find the skill on Hokuto Sekun. So you just have to fuse Hokuto Sekun into something that you can then chain the fusion into Orpheus Talos. Incidentally, that actually makes 2 skills we need to get via fusion for Orpheus Talos. Ragnarok and Null Shock can only be gotten that way. So I did have a bit of 10 minutes to 15 minutes of shuffling my skills until I eventually got that. The final persona I'm using is Hillel, and if I were to redo my preparations for FES, I would be using this guy instead, because he comes in with Mind Charge, and if I can just get High Counter, Null Poison, and Unshaken Will onto him, then I have something that I can just use as a turn to get my Mind Charges in. I also have Vorpal Blade and Arms Master, because depending on my luck, there may be a periodic situation where I'm able to fit a Vorpal Blade into the fight. I've also got all 3 stacks of regeneration, because he's going to be the final persona I set to, and the persona that I have to use Infinity on, so, that just gets me a little over 100 extra HP of healing when I'm on Hillel. Finally, well, not finally, but next up, let's go over fusion spells in this version. We are much more flexible and safe here because fusion spells can be used via items. I've got 36 best friend, fusion spells, which is kind of overkill. Worst case scenario, the most of these I need is 20, but we're going to be making regular use of these, and we don't have to switch into a custom Fornius in order to utilize it. Very nice. We also have 10 Armageddons. I got that from the Hangman Vision quest. We'll need one of these, and these Armageddons will come in handy for something later. And finally, we've got Infinity. We can use Infinity in order to, survive the, of course, guaranteed 9,999 Mega Allowance. And again, we're able to just use whichever persona we care to in preparation for the turn after that. So it is nice that we don't have to worry about having a bunch of extra stuff in our stock. Finally, it's time to get into the Femc setup herself. I've got an original Naginata. If you were paying close attention, you noticed that I didn't actually have High Counter on any of my personae. There is a very particular reason for that, and the first part of it is, of course, I have an original Naginata with Counter Fizz High Odds. Now, the strongest chariot persona that you can make is Thor, who always creates Mjolnir, and you need a level 60 at least chariot in order to create a weapon that has a high counter on it. So I just had to get the next persona down. I think it's I can't remember. It's Komokutin, I think. I had to get the next persona down from Thor, regardless, and level him up to 60. I took him to 70 just to get the strongest weapon possible, though that's not really relevant. And the reason I'm not using an original Naginata made with Orpheus Talos is because the Armor of Light in Portable only ever has Resist Magic, and those passives do not stack, so I will not be able to have additional physical resistance for most of the fight. We're just dealing with what Orpheus Talos gives us. We've also got the Shoes of Light, which thankfully give us Evade Fizz High and 140 Evasion, and that's because I'm using the Barbaric Bracers build. The Barbaric Bracers give you the Ollie Dance passive that halves the accuracy of incoming attacks. It is an incredibly powerful passive, and in Persona 3 Portable, Sukukaja and Sukunda have been buffed. They now give a 30% reduction to the accuracy of incoming, they give a 30% bonus to evasion chances, basically, compared to the 10% they give in FES and Vanilla. And of course, I've got Sibylle here to get auto team buffs in play as soon as we start the fight. With all that setup out of the way, and it is pretty important that I go over the stuff now, because this fight is going to be going pretty fast, let's get into the battle with Theo. We'll save that money for after.
I've been waiting for you. You needn't look so perplexed. You came at my behest to defeat the foe I suggested you would find, and here I am. I'm sure you understand by now. As I believe I have mentioned before, I represent power in its purest form. As such, I may only reach my answer when I encounter one whose power surpasses mine.
Answer? What kind of answer are you looking for?
I have long been looking into the issue of who I am, which I believe is the same for my master and you as well. Those who gather in the Velvet Room are destined to embark on a search for identity. You may be able to give me the answer I crave. Will you do the honor of fighting me?
This is your last chance to back out. By the way, the nice thing about playing this on emulated version is that I can use save states right outside of his battle area, so I don't have to worry about walking through Monad again if I lose, which I do get careless sometimes, so there's a very real possibility.
Most kind of you. Now, shall we begin?
Who is that? Is it just me? Or does it seem like she wants to fight? What? Her power is unbelievable! Who is she?
Yeah, they didn't bother for the English release to re-record Fuka's line for this fight if you're going against Theo, so Fuka misidentifies Theo as a she. Anyways, first order of business, we could attack Theo with anything on this opening turn, like I did in Persona 3 FES, but this time around, I actually am going to set up a Mind Charge, because Mind Charge and Power Charge are actually buffed in Persona 3 Portable, very, very slightly compared to Persona 3 FES. In FES, it's a 1.9x multiplier when you use these skills. In Portable, it is a 2.1x, so we actually will gain a pretty considerable amount of damage by doing this.
I am he who governs power. I should pose a challenge, even for you. I advise that you do not hold back. Fight as though you intend to kill.
And here comes Theo, and let's see if we can get our first dodge. Unfortunately, no. We do have pretty good odds of dodging, so how this fight is going to go is going to depend a little bit on RNG. Unfortunately, got pretty bad luck on that opening salvo, but that is okay. We're going to switch over to Messiah because he is vulnerable to ice now. Remember that he's not truly weak to it, but he does take more damage from it. We're also going to want to be tracking our damage once again, so we should deal around 2,000 damage here.
No.
Yes, 2,000, almost 2,000 exactly.
I'm chosen.
Anyways, we do kind of want to see him throw physical attacks more often, because we're much more likely to dodge those than we are the, unfortunate. That's okay, though. So now we'll just switch over to Orpheus Talos. That does mean we're not going to be able to keep our, offensive pressure up too much this turn, but as long as I'm hitting at least, 2,000 damage per cycle, that is fine. So this is what I got Null Shock for. Pretty bad opening for this turn. You probably noticed that Theo does have a bunch of unique personae compared to Elizabeth, so that's pretty cool to see. Alright, now our auto buffs are going to expire, so whenever our buffs are going to expire, we want to use Best Friends to set them back up, to make sure that we have the most dodge chance possible, and also just make sure that we are as evasive as we possibly can be. So let's use our Best Friends here to get our buffs right back in effect. And regardless of what happens, I should be able to get a Ragnarok in here, bringing us up to about 2,500 damage. Alright, here comes the Magaru Dine. Remember that the high counter that we have from the original Naginata is pretty much analogous, or exactly the same, as the high counter we get from having a skill. So anytime he bounces an attack back at himself, it will do some pretty considerable damage. That is pretty unusual. I have about 25 homunculi in reserve. Should be more than enough, as we won't really be facing down too many Mahamones. Do like Sandalphon here, very cool persona. Yeah, I don't mind if we end up burning through a few homunculi. What I'm gonna do here is set up a Mind Charge, and if we can avoid damage this next turn, I actually will switch into Halal and get a Vorpal Blade going. That is going to be around like 200 to 250 damage. We got Lilith for the Mamudones here. Yep, and one more homunculi in. Note that Hallel doesn't have Enduring Soul, which shouldn't matter too much. If I'm going into the turn with Hallel on low HP, I definitely will just be using a healing item regardless, and I'm not going to bother setting up our buffs here, because we're going to be going into the turn where we have to use Infinity anyway, so there's really not much reason to. Nice thing about Persona 3 Portable is that our personae will be reorganizing themselves towards the top of the list, minimizing the chance that I pick the incorrect thing. And yeah, 250 damage there, so we're on 2250 now. With Unshaken Will and Null Poison, once again, we're immune to every single ailment that Abaddon could potentially hit us with. Hallel is also nice because he also has all of the physical resistances by default, and like I said, if I were to go back and redo my FES preparations, I would definitely get him over Alilat. Not only can we attain him much earlier than Alilat, he also comes with Mind Charge, so I could just use his turn in order to set up Mind Charge. Anyways, we've got to set up our Infinity here. And once again, it's at this point that Theo will go into his, what is it? Max damage Megadolowns. So we got Beelzebub coming through to hit us with those Megadolowns. We'll switch over to Orpheus Talos for the next turn to set up our Best Friends. There we go. What I'm looking to do here now Is wait for the HP healing to tick. That's about 200 HP when we're using Hallel to just tank some hits, so that's a pretty good amount of HP restored. Can potentially allow us to avoid a lot of situations where we need to use healing. Let's get best friends up here, and hopefully our dodges come through true. Another option you can have, I went with Resist Slash. You can also look for some specific evasion skills for Messiah, based on what he's going to be facing. Unfortunately, he high countered a attack type that he repelled or nullified, so no go there. Let's get Messiah in, and let's hit that 2,000 damage Niflheim on him. Hopefully our defenses go a little bit better this turn, so that we don't have to worry about losing out on the effective Ragnarok. Alright, that's a dodge there. And fortunately, that hit into my Resist Slash. Now we actually can nail the Ragnarok on this guy, and we'll be resistant to every single physical type going into this turn, so that'll be pretty nice. This will get us about 700 damage here. Yeah, pretty close to 800.
Reached its climax. I regret that this moment must end.
I like how Theo kind of implies that he's going to vary up his pattern there, but he really just keeps on going with the same thing. Pretty good turn there. Would have liked a high counter, particularly on the second attack, because he wouldn't nullify that one. Let's get our best friends in. Like I said, worst case scenario, we only really need 20 of these. I got 10 of them from the Priestess door, but I had truthfully gotten that after I had already secured the best friends I would have needed. Comes Raphael. Yes, there we go. Every high counter we manage to proc makes this fight just go a little bit faster. Always appreciative when we actually manage to get those through. Let's get the Ragnarok onto him. There we go. They're pretty close to 500 damage, so again, speeds up the fight pretty nicely. I'm not actively counting my damage too much here, because again, he's going to fully heal himself to reset the progress of the fight, so it's not really critical that I'm keeping rapt attention paid to how much damage we're doing. Actually getting pretty bad luck on the insta-kills there, consuming quite a few homunculi, but even if I consume 4 per cycle, I should still have enough to survive the entire fight. No high counter there, but that's okay. Hey, we keep getting the dodges. Alright, buffs are expiring, we're switching into Hallel, and we're at full health, so again, I will go for the Vorpal Blade here. Obviously, got Arms Master in there to minimize the damage that it would be doing to us. Otherwise, it would consume 210 HP, and that's just too much to really be worth it.
Can you endure this?
That's a little unfortunate there, but not anything that's too terrible. We should still be able to hit the Niflheim relatively safely. I might be going a little risky there into that turn, but remember, we're still recovering over 100 HP per turn, so let's see. Almost used best friends there. Always, when a critical turn is coming up, just calm yourself down and think clearly about what you need to be doing. You do not want to be losing track of your actions in this fight. Here comes the max damage Meggy the Lounge. We'll be able to switch into Orpheus Talos after this, and do just fine. You could also put Resist Fire onto Hallel so that you can go into the Cert or Uriel phase and not take too much damage there, and still benefit from the Regenerate 3, but I didn't really feel like setting up for that, because I thought the Vorpal Blade might, if not be more useful, it's at least a more interesting way to handle this fight. Into Orpheus Talos and into Best Friends. We're actually doing pretty well. We had a pretty bad starting turn, but things are looking pretty good going into this phase of the battle. If we can avoid enough damage, we might actually be able to get him into the next portion of the battle. Okay, that's a little bit of damage. Evaded. When I'm on Orpheus Talos, I definitely want Theo to go for physical attacks instead. The Holy Shoes make it so much more likely that we're going to dodge those, and it has the chance of just high countering the attack back to him. Let's get Messiah out here and hit him for another cool 2,000 damage. We still have our, we still have our Enduring Soul in effect, so that's pretty nice. Here comes the Mabufudine. Don't have to worry too much about the damage that's going to come out from this. There we go. And Regenerate 3, again, giving us that little bit of passive healing that helps us out so much. Get Orpheus Talos here. Depending on how much damage we take here, I'll have to make a snap decision on whether I want to heal or whether I want to set up Best Friends again.
Can you endure this?
Here comes the Maziodine. Okay, he did get a hit there.
chosen.
And if he hits again, I'll definitely have to heal up instead of going for best friends.
Look out!
And yeah, he did get the hit there. I think it would be smarter to do the heal up and then do the best friends, so let's get that up. Let's see here. I'm actually not too concerned if I don't get a mind charge this cycle, because we're close to the point where he's going to get his HP reset anyway. Okay, that's unlucky. There we go. That's a little unfortunate, but not the end of the world, so now we can get the best friends up. And we'll actually be going into this entire phase with best friends in effect, and that's fine, because it'll still expire before we have to properly use it in the cycle again. So he should be on Sandalphon now, and we'll be seeing the Mahamones come out. Yep. And I'll have one last opportunity to get Mind Charge up. Again, not critical that I do that. But, you know, just to see the biggest numbers possible, I would like to. There we go. Slightly unlucky phase there, but we're close to the end of the battle, so let's get Mind Charge, or close to the end of the first half of the battle. Let's get Mind Charge up.
Can you endure this?
Okay, slash attack coming out. Would actually be nice if he, if he got a counter proc that put him in critical there. What I'm actually going to do here is go for a bit of an uncommon choice here. I'm actually just going to guard as Hillel, and let the passive healing take over. Note that guarding also prevents ailments, so if you go into this without any form of protection here, you can set up the fight where you just guard. Okay, let's see here. That's actually a pretty unfortunate proc on that. I don't know if... I should assume that the Megadolowns are coming out. We have an excess of infinities, so I don't have to worry too much about what we get hit by.
I summon you!
He might have just put himself over the edge. It would be kind of funny if I got killed by this here. Okay, yeah, I actually was really nervous that he was still in the range to do his normal actions, because that would make things really complicated. I'm not actually sure what happens if you use Infinity on a turn where Theo's gonna do a normal attack string. Okay, there we go. Got all the healing. Invulnerability has worn off. Now we'll switch over to Orpheus Talos and get our best friends in play. Let's see here. Best friends. Nice thing about this cycle is that we're definitely going to put him over the critical threshold, so I might be able to hit him with 2 Niflheims here.
Can you endure this?
Granted, that's going to be dependent on if I get enough dodges here. There's one.
I'm chosen.
And hopefully we get another. Yes! Okay, that's perfect. Alrighty. Let's go for another, let's switch into Messiah and get our Mind Charge Niflheim. This will definitely trigger the healing from him, so I just want to take a, familiarize myself with how the HP bar looks in Persona 3 Portable.
What is this feeling? This joy! I shall give the battle my all now.
That's kind of kinky from you, Theo. Anyways, he'll go into the Dia Rahan here, and I actually hope... Hey, Metatron, that's a cool one. Yes, okay, so he goes right back into Uriel, which is quite nice for us, because that does mean we can hit him with a incredibly powerful Niflheim. And remember, we have the magic bonus boosting that up, so that gets us close to 1,000 damage, so we're at about 1,000 damage right now. Okay.
I'm chosen.
This does put me slightly off cycle here. Let's see. Yeah, my buffs are going. Let's see, I've recovered. What I'm gonna do is I'm trying to try and get us back on cycle, so let's switch to Orpheus Talos, and let's still do this like the buffs are still in play. We would normally be resetting them on the next phase battle, so I got 1,000 damage, 1,500.
Prepare yourself. Prepare yourself.
Okay, that was actually about the best way that turn could have gone, so now we can get the best friends back in play, and our buffs are on cycle. That phase where he heals himself does always make it a little complicated, because again, my cycle is getting slightly thrown off as he resumes his pattern as it was.
I'm chosen.
Okay, here comes the Margaret. Probably going to have to heal after the Mind Charge. I'm willing to risk it. At this point, we're past the hump for this battle, so we're at 1,500. It's about 2,000 damage now. And again, I am going to be mentally, or rather actively tracking every bit of damage we do, because if we damage him too much after he's past the 10,000 HP marker again, he will end up healing himself to full, and the battle becomes unwinnable at that point. Homunculus has sacrificed itself. Let's get our Mind Charge in. Right. Alright, 2,000 damage so far. Pretty good, pretty good. Down coming out. Another homunculi falls for our purposes. I do also have to track the high counter damage coming into him, because previously, you know, that was just a nice way to get us to the next phase a little bit faster, but now we do really need to be mindful of how much of that is going out. Gonna switch into Hillel and use a bead to fully heal ourselves. Good idea, because we're going, if we get hit by any physical attacks, that will of course be a pretty big problem. So let's use our bead here. Thankfully, the Adama bosses give you a huge amount of beads to work with. Here comes an eerie sound. No problem with that.
Can you endure
And
this?
counter, counter. No, ugh, that's rough. But that's not the end of the world. Still get a little bit of healing in. So let's gotta use our infinity here now.
I summon you.
We've used 4 infinities. Now, I've read in a guide that this fight, this version of the fight does not have the turn limit. It does not have the 80, or the 8 cycle limit, or no, the 10 cycle limit and 80 turn limit that FES has. It can just go on forever for as many infinities as you have. I don't know if that's true, but if you're using more than 10 infinities, you're probably having a really rough go of the fight anyway, so I wouldn't really concern yourself with that too much. Alright, invulnerability is off. Back to Orpheus Talos. And we're in pretty good standing here. So remember, we're at 2,000 damage. Well, it'll be at 4,000 after this next Niflheim hits. Okay, get the best friends up. There we go.
Can you endure this?
Dodge, dodge, dodge. Yes, very nice. If I could get a high counter, that would also be wonderful. And that's a little rough. So, depending on how this next turn goes, we may be able to get another, like 4,700 damage, but I can settle for just 4,000 if it comes down to that. Let's switch to Messiah and hit our high-powered Niflheim. With that, we are up to 4,000 damage now. Maybe more like 3,900. I'm going to round it up to 4,000, though.
A token of my esteem.
Counter. No, dang. On the bright side, I didn't take any damage to that, so we're on 4,000. With Orpheus Talos, that should get us to about 4,700, 4,800.
No.
Okay, yeah, 4,700 about is whereabouts we are. Okay, good dodge, good dodge.
A token of
Counter,
my esteem.
counter. No. We gotta set the best friends again. Depending on how this turn goes, I might have to heal instead of going for another attack, but that's not a big deal. So we're at 4,700 damage so far. Worst case, best case scenario, we'll need about 2 more cycles. Worst case, probably close to 3 or 4. Okay, good dodge.
My apologies for this.
Okay. Alright, nice, we got both the dodges, so let's actually do a Ragnarok here, why not? Get a little bit more damage, so this should get us up to 5,200.
No.
Depending on what goes here,
Endure this.
nice! 5,200. That was about 5,900 now. Okay, not a big deal. Alrighty, let's use a Mind Charge now, so we're at 5,900. Again, always keep that mental track of how much damage you've done.
I have chosen.
Here comes the Mamudones. Not anything I'm too worried about. Alright, good, good, good.
I have chosen.
And Mamudone. I think I'll go for the bead on Hillel. Again, Hillel does not have Enduring Soul, so if I'm at an HP threshold, if I'm at anything less than max health when it comes time for him to hit the field, I do want to heal up. It would be a bad idea to try and hit into Theo and take another 100 HP away from me if I'm already at 600. So let's go to Hillel here, and let's use the bead on ourselves. Boom. It doesn't really matter which healing item you use, but beads are the ones you will most commonly get in Adama, so may as well make use of all the ones that I got. So remember that we're at 5,900 damage here.
I have chosen.
And Sexy Dance coming out would be disastrous if it was something that could threaten us at all. Alright, not too bad, not too bad. Can go into the infinity, no problem. And we'll be entering this new cycle with full health, so that's pretty good for us. Okay, let's see here. Not best friends, always gotta think about that. Use our infinities here. On my practice attempt of this fight, I actually beat him surprisingly quickly. I didn't use up that many infinities. I want to say I only used like 4 of them. We're at the 5 marker now, though. Bit worse luck. Didn't get as many counters as I did. Actually, in my practice attempt, I did get the coveted high counter that puts him over the kill threshold on his second action. So I could have ended the fight early with Armageddon, but I decided to do it honestly, because I can't guarantee that'll happen. Alright, so we're at 5,900 damage. Just gotta keep that in my brain. 5,900, and we want to get best friends going. And then, of course, next turn, cycle back into Messiah. Sorry, when I get deep into this fight, ooh, nice, 5,900 plus 700, so we're at 6,600 now. Unfortunate hit there, but we're still at 820 HP, which is pretty good. Into Messiah, so let's see, 6,600 damage. Do this Niflheim.
No.
And that puts us at 8,600. Okay, nice, nice.
I'm chosen.
We're at 8,600 damage, roughly. So let's switch into Orpheus Talos here, do the Ragnarok. And this will put us at... Let's see, 8,600, 9,300, so if we can hit the next Niflheim on him, we can end this fight. I don't even need to Mind Charge, I can just play defensively now. Yeah, we had 9,300 damage. Actually, you know what? Let's do best friends here. If I can hit the Ragnarok on him, that should allow us to chip him to the point where I can just do the next Niflheim.
I'm chosen.
Here comes the Magarudyne. If I also get a high counter here, I could do the Ragnarok and the next turn Armageddon. Okay, I'm willing to take that chance. We still got our Enduring Soul in effect, remember that. So this will put us at about 9,800. After the next Niflheim, we should be able to use Armageddon to win the fight. So now I can just play defensively, honestly. I'm not going to Mind Charge here, because I don't want to put him at the threshold where he could potentially do something, shall we say, untoward to us. So instead, what I'll do here is I'll actually just, for the heck of it, use a Soma on myself. Get our full SP back, why not? If he also high counters himself, I can use Armageddon here. But of course, that's dependent on him actually landing the high counter. Or doing a physical attack on us. We're going into this full health. Again, I'm so close to the threshold, I'm not gonna go for the Vorpal Blade here. Normally I would, but I want to make sure I keep him within a very, very specific damage threshold. So let's just switch to Hallel over here. And once again, we'll actually do a guard, the niche guard option. Minimize any potential damage from a physical attack. Yep. Okay, good thing we got that second dodge there. This will put us back at roughly full health once we get back to the main cycle. We, of course, want to use our Infinity here. Man, I'm actually on the edge of my seat here. This is going quite well. Obviously, you saw that I had pretty bad luck in FES, so this version of the fight is going way, way better. The buffs to Sukukaja and Secunda honestly make the Barbaric Bracers a pretty good option for this fight. They work quite well. I've definitely dodged more hits than I've gotten tapped by. Alright, once again, we will switch into Orpheus Talos for the ideal defenses, and also get Best Friends set up. If he happens to high counter himself here, then I can just go straight into Armageddon. But that's going to depend on how exactly this goes. There we go.
My apologies.
He's going for the Maragidyne, so yeah, we'll probably be tapping him down with Niflheim. Nice, good dodge.
Can you endure this?
Okay, and dodge. Go to Messiah and get the Niflheim in. being very, very careful that I do not pick the wrong option here. Get the Niflheim. This will put him under that half HP threshold.
No.
There we go.
No.
Nice.
My apologies.
That definitely means Armageddon will. That was just a little bit of insurance. Now we can do Armageddon, and I'm just gonna let that spell speak for itself. Let's go.
No.
Victory is ours. Glad I was able to actually mentally track the damage I was dealing.
I would have my answer when I met one whose power surpasses mine, or so I have long thought. But despite my loss, I hear no faint epiphany whispered in my ear. And yet, what is this emotion that wells up within me? It's as if the core of my being is filled with satisfaction. Could this be my answer? Only I can answer the question of my true self. Is this, then, the first step toward finding that answer? Well done. You are indeed a wonderful guest. I will dole out your reward in the usual fashion. Oh, and please, take this. It's not a reward, only a sign of my gratitude.
You accepted the gift and got the fragrant bookmark
Well
from
then.
Theo.
May we meet again in that room. Mind how you go on the way back.
Oof, stressful battle to deal with every single time. Now let's talk to Theo here. Well then, may we meet again in that room. Mind how you go on the way back. Of course, of course. Have I ever been unmindful of that kind of thing, Theo? So we're going to collect the reward from Theo to, get his, final spiel, as well as, of course, the portable omnipotent orb. It seems you've completed a request. One moment, please, while I check. I obviously don't need to ask for proof of this. You have used your power to help me in every way. Thank you very much. No matter where you go or what you do, I'm sure you will persevere. I look forward to watching your journey. Please take this as a reward. Alright, we got the Omnipotent Orb. Now, leaving at, as I said before, I had a practice attempt of this fight, and I've made a separate file and save state after I cleared that practice fight. So let's load this save state right here. And we're going into the next bonus boss fight, a Persona 3 Portable exclusive bonus boss fight. There's a couple of key things to note about here. I've got all the same personae that I had for the previous battle, but I've also pulled Norn out of the compendium, as well as a bit of a niche pick here, Vishnu. The only reason I picked him is because he has God's Hand. Another modification I made is that I actually carded Power Charge back onto Siegfried, and the relevance of that is going to become apparent very, very soon. Also for this bonus boss, we are actually able to use our party members here. Even better, there are actually far fewer restrictions on this bonus boss fight, and the boss itself isn't nearly as dangerous. You are fully allowed to patch out your party members' weaknesses. The only banned accessory is the Omnipotent Orb. You will be insta-killed if you go into that. I'm going to be using a party of Akihiko, Aegis, and Ken. All of them have their ultimate weapons. Aegis and Akihiko have patched out their weaknesses, and they have the best equipment I have available for them. Ken has a bit of an interesting pick in a Giga Power Band. Why I want him to have that is going to become apparent in the near future. And finally, I've made some slight equipment changes to the Femsi. We don't need high counter anymore, so I took her back to the Velvel Maruga. That'll help for the personae that don't have capped stats, like, the ones I was using for the Theo fight. And of course, we still got our good equipment here, but I also have a Tome of the Void equipped. The reason I want that will become apparent very soon. Also, it would be a good idea to have something with Amrita. Do I have something that has that? It's not super critical, but I would like it. I can probably manage without it. I've also got plenty of, status restoring items. Let me just check real quick if I have a card for it, at least. If I could get it onto anybody, that would be nice. This is always something that I knew I was forgetting something when I loaded in here. Well, it'll make it interesting if I don't have that. Regardless, I've also got Sibylle for the auto team buffs, so let's make our way over to the Pandora door. Who awaits us beyond here? Oh, well, of course, it's Margaret. I was playing coy there, but we did kind of see her go in it. Margaret is waiting within. You can create any party you wish. And we've already got the party made. Let's enter. Now, the game is being a bit, shall we say, warning you a lot here, but don't worry too much. Alright, so we've got Margaret. Similar to Theo and Elizabeth, she is a phase-based battle, but instead her phases go in increment of 10 turns, where she has a specific pattern she'll be using for 10 turns, and then she'll switch to a new one. This first pattern, well, we'll get into it when we get her actions on deck. What I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to switch to Siegfried and get a power charge up real quick, so let's do that. Note that everybody, when they reach level 99, gets 999 HP and SP, so that's very helpful for us. Ken is just going to do a normal strike here. Some decent damage there. And Akihiko, he is going to be regularly setting up Ma Rakunda. I'm not going to bother with Ma Tarunda because it doesn't really matter. Aigis is going to be doing a lot of debuff botting in this fight, by the way. Well, while we have the opportunity, though, let's have her use God's Hand. There we go. And here comes Vorpal Blade. Bit unfortunate if that is, okay, there's a critical. That's just an unfortunate thing that you have to deal with. Here comes a power charge. Crits will come out and make the fight a little bit complicated. Vorpal Blade is about the worst thing that she could use. Akihiko immediately put into that. Power charge onto Margaret here, but she doesn't have an extra turn to go, so that's okay. So the last attack she used was a slash-type attack. That means she drains slash-type attacks. This is what I wanted Vishnu for. Guide's Hand is the next best attack I can use over Vorpal Blade. Vorpal Blade is what I want to use, but I can't always guarantee that. Oh, what? Power charge must have, that's weird. My guide must be slightly incorrect here. Unless power charge just invalidates her previous weakness. I'm not sure, actually. Let's see. To make sure that we don't have anything too bad happen on this upcoming turn, I'm going to have Akihiko use Ma Tarunda here. I think my guide was slightly incorrect about how this phase works. I should have practiced this before I got here, but oh well. Let me just take a look at this. I'm not sure how this works, actually. Oh well, we'll have Aigis just do a Pierce attack, since we know that that's Drain. Note that I've heard that there is actually a limit on this fight. You need to, okay, Myriad Arrows is fine. Annoying, but fine. Okay, there we go. That's good, that's good. Let's see here. Since I lost the opportunity to use the power charged, what is it? The power charged Vorpal Blade. I'm gonna just do a raw Vorpal Blade this turn, just to make sure I'm dealing damage. Now, I've heard that you need to deal 7,000 damage to Margaret before the 11th turn rolls around. I'm not sure how true that is, but that is what I have heard. So let's get the let's have Akihiko punch her. Oh, I was gonna do Ma Rakunda, actually. I'd lost track of what I was doing. Let's see here. God's Hand. Have to remember that she used a Pierce skill there. Next turn, our buffs are going to be expiring, and that'll make this fight a little complicated. Okay. Our attack has reverted, so this is full power to Kasha Arts being sent our way. Okay, that's unfortunate. Power charge coming in from Margaret. When she does the power charge, what I want to do is have Akihiko do the Ma Tarunda to minimize the damage that's coming out. I also don't know what exactly happens when she power charges, so instead I'm going to set up my own power charge here. And we'll have Ken, of course, do some healing. It's a little unfortunate that Akihiko's buff has already expired. Or Akihiko's Endure has already expired. Let's get Medea Rahana. There we go. And we'll want Akihiko to do the Ma Tarunda so that the power charge is a little less devastating when it hits into us. Okay, and Ma Tarunda going out. Again, we want to be hitting 7,000 damage before this phase is over, so we'll definitely want to be mindful of keeping consistent damage output, not necessarily the best damage output. Get Ma Rakukaja up, and that'll fully mitigate the incoming damage. Okay, Primal Force. Very nice when she uses these single target skills. I don't have to worry too much about these. And Myriad Arrows. That's actually also pretty good. Ooh, unfortunate, but not the end of the world. Ah, man, but she power charges. I don't know what attack I need to use on her now, so we're going to have to be a little bit cautious about how we approach this. What I think I'm going to do here is, since... Let me see, do I have anything that can use Mata Rukaja? don't think so. Yeah, so what I'm gonna do here instead is I am just going to actually defend for once. Let's get the Media Rahan going. And on the bright side, we can actually hit in on a Rakunda boost and Ma Tarukaja boost. So let's hit Tarunda here. Oh wait, no, Ma Rakunda is what I meant to hit. And then get Ma Tarukaja up. This is going a little rough right now, but that's why we always save before we attempt these tough battles. I'm going to candidly admit something right now. I did not actually practice this fight beforehand. I am just using a guide to reference what I need to watch out for and what would be a good idea to be wary of. Okay, that's good, that's good. Attack is reverted. And Akasha Arts, that's beautiful. That'll let me hit a big skill here. No! Crit! Ah! I don't know what power charge sets are at. Ah! Because when... Ugh. That's unfortunate. I just gotta go for it. I gotta see what this does.
No!
Okay, that worked, that worked.
Wow, you're strong.
Okay. A little unfortunate there. So, Akasha Arts was the last thing. We'll have Aegis get the Ma Tsukikaja up to us. And while we're not doing anything with Akihiko, let's have him hit the Ma Tarunda here. Make sure Elizabeth's stuff is as weak as possible.
Still fight.
And get the Ma Tsukikaja up.
I cannot lose.
That 1,200 damage, though, that's very helpful. But yeah, the crits that come out are going to be an annoying RNG point for this particular battle. You just gotta suffer them, unfortunately.
See my power.
And Primal Force coming out, very nice. Alright. So, what we can do here is use Vorpal Blade.
Summon you.
It would be nice if we got our own crits, since that is an extra bit of damage on our end. Let's use Media Rahan from Ken here. Alright, and she used Primal Force, so we can use a punch from Akihiko here.
No, no.
There we go. And then a God's Hand from Aegis. She's going to be a little bit more vulnerable this turn, as Ma Rakukaja is, of course, expiring, but that's not a big deal.
See my power.
Akasha Arts coming out. This is the highest crit rate attack she can use, so that's always annoying.
My power.
Power Charge. We're only going to have to suffer one of these. Let's see what she goes for. Attack reverted.
How's this?
And Primal Force. Not a big deal. It would be nice if she hit that into Aegis, but can't have everything.
Please be careful.
Okay, that allows us to use another Vorpal Blade here, and actually lets Akihiko get a punch in as well.
No.
Nice, nice. Let's use Media Rahan with Ken here to keep us topped off. Once we get into the next phase, this fight is going to become a lot easier, actually. We don't have to worry too much about what happens in the next phase. Okay, defense is reverted. Let's go back to pummeling Margaret there. And of course get the Ma Rakukaja up. We need that in effect at all time to minimize the huge damage that Margaret can deal to us. But yeah, as long as I'm able to deal around or close to 700 damage per turn, that's honestly fine. Akihiko might eat a death at this point, but it's not super critical that he be going first in the turn order. Hey, that's lucky. Alright, that allows us to do a Vorpal Blade, no problem.
No.
Alright, a little bit weaker because we don't have the Ma Tarukaja up, but that is a-okay. Let's get the Media Rahan going. What I'm gonna do here is, since it's not gonna be much damage anyway, I'm gonna have Akihiko set up a Ma Rakunda for a slightly more potent next turn, while I'm having Aegis set up the Ma Tarukaja. There we go. Like, you probably already noticed, but like Nyx, the double actions that Margaret takes increment the debuff counter by 2 instead of 1, so they only last half as long, and you only get to enjoy the effect of something like Ma Tarunda for half the turns you normally get to enjoy it with anything else. Brave Blade. 2 Brave Blades is unfortunate, but not the end of the world. We can still deal decent damage on that, so what we're gonna do here is, we're actually at pretty good HP here, so let's see, let's go for Vishnu. Let's get our God's Hand out. Next best thing we can use.
No.
Nice! Got a critical there. Also pretty good damage boost. We'll have Ken attack.
No.
There we go. Get Akihiko and get an Akihiko attack in.
No, no.
Not bad, not bad. And use Masuku Kaja to give us just that little bit of extra defense that we need. Alright, what do you got for me here? Ooh, we've switched over to the next phase, so Stagnant Air. This is where the Tome of the Void is going to come in handy. And, okay, that is the worst skill she can use. The skill we want her to use is Infuriate. Alright, so what I'm actually going to do here is now I can switch into Messiah for the most part and just fire off my most powerful Niflheims, since she doesn't have any specific resistances here. And like I said, what we're waiting for to happen is for her to use Infuriate.
No.
And that's pretty good damage right there, honestly. So let's just have Akihiko and Ken dispoison themselves. And I guess we'll also be able to get in attacks when she isn't able to set up a buff. Get the dispoison onto Ken. And let's have Aigis do a God's Hand here.
I cannot lose.
No chance that Margaret will dodge it, at least. That's always something.
No.
There we go. Margaret has recovered. Yes, here we go. And this is about the ideal time she could use it. So Tome of the Void is going to make me immune to the Infuriate there. She's going to go for a Brave Blade. That's going to be slightly nasty damage, but I'm not too pressed about that.
Power.
Ooh. That's okay, that's okay. So what we're going to do here is we are going to go big or go home. We are going to switch to Odin. And we are going to chunk a huge amount of time off of this fight. Thunder Rain still has its guaranteed shocks on Margaret, and Infuriate or Enrage gives you double attacks here, so we're going to be able to deal some serious damage. This is why I have Ken with the Giga Power Band. Look at that, he's about to deal, what is that, like 1100 damage? Akihiko won't be far behind, because he has a higher natural strength stat, while still having a bonus providing skill. There we go. So yeah, this is just a cool 2,000 damage for no real additional effort on my part. Now, my characters do have a pretty high chance of dying here, but that's okay. I'm not that pressed about it.
I won't miss.
There we go. Margaret has recovered. Primal Force coming out from her. Ken is probably going to roll into his Endure here. Yeah.
How's this?
And God's Hand coming out. Akihiko will probably die from this, but that's okay.
Unconscious.
Now, the Infuriate only lasts one turn, so what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to actually use a Balm of Life on Akihiko.
Here.
Get him back in at full HP. Attack has reverted. Ken is enraged. Oh, he's still going for it. Nice. Not as good as the previous turn, but that's fine. And I'm not sure if Akihiko is going to be able to get his actions in. Still, this is fantastic damage coming out on Margaret. Alright, that's going to be Ken's death there. That's okay, though.
See my power.
And God's Hand coming out again.
I guess.
So that throws off our turn order and kind of kills the Infuriate strategy in its most effective form, Stone Dead, but that's not a huge deal. We still got in a huge amount of damage. If this goes really well, you can pull off some pretty impressive stuff with it, honestly. Let's see here. It's gonna be Margaret next, right? Yeah. Okay. Now, something that we have to worry about if our turn order is all screwed up like this is getting charmed. So I'm gonna have to be more mindful of that. Okay, Maragidine is fine. These are just not that strong at all. Okay, so what we're gonna do here is have Aigis set up the Maharaku Kaja. And again, our turn order is now pretty bad. This is not desirable to find yourself in for this situation. Let me see here. I'm going to hit the Marakunda here. Get a little bit more damage on Niflheim. Yeah, our turn order is all backwards now. Having the Femsi going, might actually have been worth it to... Well, actually, everybody's got Dirahan now, so that's not really that relevant. I was thinking it might have been worth it to keep Ken dead at this point, but everybody can... Oh, that actually is pretty problematic, because if somebody with healing gets charmed, they are going to heal Margaret.
No.
I might have to rework my, Oh, here we go. Yep, oh god. Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to rework this. She is almost certainly going to get healed here. And, oh, hey, that actually cured Agatha. Oh! That was the bailout. That was the bailout. Thank you, Margaret. That was good, that was good. That was a huge bailout that I got there. Okay. Let's see. I got Discharms, so we need to hit Akihiko next. Get the Discharm onto Akihiko.
Take this!
Oof, that was scary. Okay, get the Discharm onto Ken here. Well, let's see. Ken doesn't really need to do anything else, so he can just launch an attack. And we'll hit her with a slightly stronger Niflheim. Yeah, unfortunately, this phase of the fight went pretty bad for me. All those deaths coming through is a bit of a problem. Yep, another sexy dance. I'm probably not going to get the bailout this time. So if I lose here, or rather if she gets healed here, I'll just go for a second attempt. Okay. I guess it's been charmed. Yep, she got healed. Alright, let me get us back to this point. Alright, back where I am. I had some pretty bad luck on the first phase, so I had actually a bit of a hard time getting back here. I made a slight modification to my strategy. I have Aegis running the Tome of the Void now to make her immune to charm, so that I can only get those potential Infuriate hits from Akihiko and Ken, but that's perfectly fine. Don't really have any reason to do any attacking there. I can get a Mataru Kaja up. Yeah, I've been having pretty bad luck with this phase as well. She's mostly been going for Poison and Sexy Dance, which Poison I can't actually defend against, so that's just one that I have to suffer no matter what, and it's kind of annoying. Sexy Dance is also pretty obnoxious. The main problem I'm having with the Sexy Dance phases is that she's probably going to do it right now. Okay, she didn't. She likes to go into Maziodyne, which I guess is no longer immune to that, so she ends up taking some pretty nasty damage there. If I fail again, I might look into getting something that has Amrita, just so I can be a bit more efficient at purging my debuffs. I really should have taken care of that before I got into the fight, but I wasn't sure how necessary it would be. Fortunately, on these fights or these turns where I don't have to worry about anybody being knocked over, I can still just wail on Margaret pretty effectively with conventional attacks. Here we go, Infuriate, finally. And Akihiko and Ken still have their buffs in play, or their Endure buffs in play, so they should be able to survive this well enough. Okay, let me see here. Thinking about what would be the ideal strategy here. I think I will just go for the Thunder Rain here. Let's see, I am going to need to get damage mitigation in. Like I said, Akihiko's... Oh no! That's unfortunate. Didn't expect that miss to come through. Oh man, I'm having terrible luck here. How is she dodging so much? What? She doesn't have a Secunda or anything in play, so that's just really bad luck on my part. Let's see here. I am going to go for Maraku Kaja, I think. I want to get the damage mitigation in. Akihiko still has his Endure in this phase, so I'm not too pressed if he gets taken out. And Ken got the dodge there, that's lucky. God's Hand coming out. Once, this is good. If it comes around to Aegis' turn, I can now use a Bead Chain to just get everybody recovered. So let's do the Thunder Rain here. We still have a Mataru Kaja in effect also, so... There we go. This should get us some big damage. 2,000 damage per cycle whenever we get this. We get to watch the lengthy crit animation every single time. Nice. It should be worth noting that if you use Armageddon on Margaret at any time and it doesn't kill her, that is also a void condition that causes you to lose guaranteed. So make sure she's pretty low on health once you go for the Armageddon. Let's use a Bead Chain here, or Soma. It doesn't really matter which one. Just using the Bead Chain because that's the thing I need more specifically. Do I even have any? Yes, I do. Surprisingly, only 2. There we go. Now that I've got this on cycle, this will be a lot easier. And yeah, as appealing as it is to have the extra damage coming out from Aegis, it's much better to... Oh no, that's unfortunate. That might be a Ken death there. Crits are an unfortunate X factor that you really can't account for. They're just gonna come up every now and again.
Can you use Enradi on Akihiko-senpai?
I don't really think I want to. I guess, let me... Fuka? The problem is I don't know what order in the turn Ken is going to be coming back to, so it honestly might be in my best interest to just leave him dead for right now, because I can't guarantee he'll come back on a safe cycle. Oh, whoops, I should have gone for the Thunder Rain, actually. Oh well, Niflheim is still good damage. I was kind of like thrown for a loop on what I should do there. This will still be about, well, actually, Akihiko's recovering, that's why I did that. Let's go for, Matarunda to mitigate her incoming damage a little bit. There we go. And let's see here. I'm going to go for Matarukaja. And we'll see what she does here. Okay, Margaret has recovered. Stagnant air coming out. She might go for an insta-kill here. No, Maragidine, that's perfectly fine. Nobody here is vulnerable to that. In fact, we're actually quite resistant. What I'm gonna go for here is another Niflheim.
No!
There we go. Let's see here. You know what? I'm gonna get Ken back in. And if he's in a bad position in the turn order, what I can do to mitigate that is just have him guard every turn. Let's see here. Kind of off cycle. Let me see. I should be able to, if I use a single targeting item, I can see what everybody's buff status is. Okay. So attack buffs are still in. Defense buffs are still in for the most part. Let's see here. We're going to go for a Diarahan on Akihiko. Bit of a niche option for Aigis there. Her single target healing doesn't come up too often. Alright, so if Margaret goes for the... Okay, that's good. Oh, she's actually into her next phase now. This one's very easy. She is going to go into Elemental Magic now, and as long as we're not getting a weakness struck, all we need to do at this point is just Mind Charge, and then do a spell that she is vulnerable to. So what I'm going to do now is start having the Femsi Mind Charging her skills, so we can go into Orpheus Talos. The nice thing about this is that we don't have to worry about any serious damage coming out. Occasionally, Aigis will get her weakness struck, but that's okay. So, this phase pretty easy, although it is a little tough to get good damage going on this phase. Alright. There we go. Let's get Akihiko to up a Marakunda for us. Make sure that our charge spells are doing the most. Ideally, what Margaret does is an ice spell, because that, or not an ice spell, a fire spell, because then Niflheim will hit for its very, very big damage. Get the Matarukaja up here. Oh, damn it, I lost track of who it was in effect on. That's unfortunate. Yeah, sometimes my cycling gets a little messed up. Bit of rough damage there onto Aigis, but not anything we can't handle. Okay, she might have her, oh, never mind. I was gonna say she might have her, so she went to Zeodyne. That means I can go into Norn to deal big damage. That's what I pulled Norn out for, specifically this section of the fight. So, let's hit the Phanta Ray here. And this should deal some pretty good damage. Not bad, not bad. Very good, actually. Let's get the Media Rahan onto the team here. And I don't really care what Akihiko does with this turn. So what we're going to do here is just have him punch. Oh, she nullifies it. Never mind. So I can have him stick to doing debuff botting. Honestly, it might be better to just switch into the strongest attacks rather than go for mind charges every single turn. Once again, I gotta remind myself. Now that I'm all off cycle, I don't know what I've got in effect on who. Alright, Marakukaja. This'll minimize the damage coming out to Aigis if her weakness gets struck. Again, Aigis is the only person vulnerable to that. Bufudine coming out. Okay, not too bad. And then on this one, Garudine, so we can switch into Odin here, and I believe I've patched out his weakness on this file, but I'll definitely want to be mindful of that, because he is the only one I have who is potentially weak to it. Yes, I did put Absorb Wind on him, so he's fine. So that puts us in a good standing here. Let's go for the Thunder Rain to deal some pretty big damage to Margaret here.
No!
There we go. Not as good without the Mind Charge, and also without our attacking buffs in effect, but that's a-okay. We're going to have that in effect on the next turn, and that should deal pretty nice damage. Let's see here. Gonna have Akihiko get the Marakunda back onto Margaret here. And we'll get the Matarukaja onto the Femsi. She's the one that I definitely want to have it, so let's make sure she has it at all times. And this is going to be a slightly slower, more methodical run of the battle. Shouldn't take too much effort for us. Maragidine coming out. If she could use this twice in a row, that would be the ideal circumstance. Nah, she's going for the Margaridine, but that's fine. We'll just go right back into the Thunder Rain that we have. And now that we've got the double stack of buffs and debuffs up, this will deal some pretty nice damage. I'm actually going to go for Zeodyne on Ken here. And then I will Matarunda her. I'll minimize the incoming damage a little bit. And while I have Aigis not really doing anything and just buff-botting, I may as well have her set up Masukukaja on everybody. The time to reapply Matarukaja will be when it wears off on the Femsi specifically. Now that that's kind of the cycle that we're dealing with. Alright, go for the double Maragidine. No, let's see. Yes, double Maragidine. Nice! Messiah's going to hit some pretty nice damage here. Unfortunately, it's going to be when the defense buff has fallen off, but that's perfectly fine. This is still going to be some pretty great damage onto her. We'll definitely have Ken heal up here. If I can get sneak in some extra damage with Ken, that'll be very nice for us. Okay. And then get some Media Rahan going. There we go. And let's see here, I'll have Akihiko go for the Marakunda onto Margaret. And once again, because I'm all off cycle, I gotta double check what is actually the situation with the Femsi. Yeah, all her stuff is still in play, so that doesn't matter too much. What we're gonna do here, don't really have much else I can do with Aigis, so once again, this is a time for niche options. I've got some damage dealing items in my reserve. Why not use them? 150 extra damage off the Megiddo gem is perfectly fine by me. Yeah. That's a little rough for Aigis there, but as long as the weakness isn't struck twice, I'm actually not too pressed about that. Also, Margaret will not go for physical attacks on the shock, so that is another thing that helps us out there. Okay. Get the Niflheim out once again. The attack buff is probably going to be expiring soon. Oh no, it's still in effect. Nice. So let's get the Niflheim hit. And then I can have Aigis, once she gets back up, rebuff our defenses. So that works out pretty good for us. We're probably going to go into the 4th phase for this because I had pretty bad luck with this run of the fight. Let's see here. Okay. There we go. I'm just double checking something here. Let's get the Matarunda onto her. And then we'll also have Aigis use Marakukaja to keep our defenses nice and high. There we go. Marakukaja coming out. Unfortunately, the next attack coming in this turn is going to be pretty weak here. Okay. Margaridine coming out. Nothing we can't handle. Her defense is reverted, but that's okay. Nice! This is about the ideal. This is the ideal thing she can end her turn on, because even with our buffs expiring, we still deal pretty great damage to her with Niflheim. So let's hit her with that. Have Akihiko set up the defense debuff next turn, and then our damage will be back in good standing because we can make use of Matarukaja and Marakunda simultaneously on this upcoming turn. Okay. Hit the Marakunda here. Once you get past the first 2 phases, this fight becomes really easy, honestly. Margaret is not that threatening when she's just doing raw damage on you. What really makes her threatening is just her ridiculously high crit rate moves in the first phase of the fight, particularly Akasha Arts. Akasha Arts has the highest crit rate of almost any move in the game, so it is ridiculously consistent. Very lucky dodge coming out from Aigis there. And hey, that's again like the ideal thing. Now, the transition into Margaret's final phase is indicated by her using Power Charge and Mind Charge. On the bright side, when she does that, you are actually able to use attack mirrors to bounce her attacks back at her at that point. Let's see here. Yeah, I'll just have Ken do a heal here. So you don't have to worry about that voiding any rules. Let's see here. I'm just thinking, Marakunda, let's get the Matarunda up. Make sure the damage is low again. And let's see here. Well, I guess it's not doing anything. We can set up Masukukaja. Okay, what's coming out here? Mabufudine, that's fine. Akihiko is immune to that thanks to his accessory, so we're not too pressed about that getting through. Defense is reverted, so a little bit of a damage drop for us. Maragidine coming out. I can live with that, because that lets me use my most powerful attack. And honestly, we're at pretty high HP here, so I think what I'll do is I'll actually have Ken just root through our bag and use an attacking item. Why not? Let's see here. Yeah, we'll just use a Bufala Gem. Why not? 100 extra damage. Never gonna complain about that. Get Marakunda up and running. Let's see, some of our buffs are probably going to start expiring this turn, yeah. Once again, we'll use just another Bufala Gem. Another extra 100 damage there. Okay, here comes the Maziodine. Would be nice if I just dodged this. Not critical for her to do so, though. Gives us more opportunity. If you think about it like this, it gives us more opportunity to cycle through Margaret's various attacking options. Not the best one we could have ended on, but hey, it works for me. Once again, we'll now switch over to Odin, and actually we can probably mix in some attacks from Akihiko if we want to. Let's get Odin up here, and hit the Thunder Rain. Yeah, I think what I'll do, actually, is I'll have Akihiko go for the Zeodine, get a little bit of extra damage coming in from him. Obviously want to have Ken do the healing here to make sure Aigis doesn't get taken out. Aegis's Endure, I believe, has already been expended, so she's not going to be able to get any safety out of that. Akihiko finally gets a chance to actually launch an attack. Been a while for him. There we go. And then Aigis will get back up. And we are, of course, we're going to want to get our Marakukaja back in effect. Keep the damage coming out nice and low. Or at least relatively low. Okay. Here we go. We're in the final phase. So here comes the Mind Charge. We absolutely want Akihiko to hit the Matarunda on her, because we can mitigate the Power Charge. The Mind Charge, on the other hand, we're not really going to be able to do anything about. So what I want to do here is I want to throw up an Attack Mirror. We should have more than enough for this fight, or this phase of the fight. Remember that we can now bounce the attacks back at Margaret and not have to worry about any penalty we're going to incur here. Let's see, I'm going to have Ken go for a Zeodine. Let me actually scan her real quick. Let's have Ken go for a Zeodine here. Since we don't need any healing, may as well. A little bit of damage there. Absolutely get the Matarunda in effect on her. And then we can re-up our Matarukaja. Alright, Matarukaja coming through. So, we've got our defense buffs in play, we've got our attack debuff in play. Okay, Tetrakarn coming out from her. Not too pressed about that, honestly. Actually, yeah, I'm really not pressed about that. Let's see. I will want to actually break it, though. Let's see here. What I'm going to do here is switch over to Messiah and focus on using Niflheims to get my damage out here. Okay. Alright, not bad, not bad. We should be pretty close to the point where we can use Armageddon. Actually, you know what? I don't really need to break the Tetrakarn. Well, actually, let me see here. I'm actually going to use Masakunda on her. Minimize the chance that she connects with anything. I'm going to have Aigis break the Tetrakarn, because remember, she nullifies Pierce skills, so reflecting it back onto her doesn't cause any problems. Here we go. This is just normal Megidolaun. This is not an insta-kill Megidolaun. Powerful, but not anything super threatening. And Myriad Arrows, this will of course be to her huge detriment here. And that's the reason why I really wanted to break that, what is it? Break that Tetrakarn, because if that bounced back into her, I think all of those would have been nullified, actually. Alright, so all the scary stuff is off the table for Margaret, so we're able to just focus on wailing on her at this point. Let's get a Marakunda up to get a little bit more damage. I'm gonna go for one more round of peppering her with shots. And then after that, we should be able to just use Armageddon to finish the fight. That looks like it's about under a third.
How's this?
Okay, here comes the Mind Charge. And Power Charge. That's fine by me. We will go for yet another Niflheim here. And like I said, we should be able to just finish her off with Armageddon next turn. That definitely looks like it's under a third. Margaret has 30,000 HP altogether, so you need her under 10,000 for the Armageddon to finish. Let's get the attack mirror up. If you have better luck than I've been having with this fight, you can easily get this fight cleared before the second phase is over. Okay, we'll want to hit her with the Matarunda here. And while I'm at it, set up the Ma Rakukaja.
Persona!
Again, never sleep on your opponent. You always want to make sure you have everything ready. Okay, Ma Rakunda coming out. That's fine by me. It just means I have to reset Ma Rakukaja. What I'd like for her to do is use Myriad Arrows. Here comes the Makarakarn. That's a slightly more annoying thing to deal with, but we have more ways to deal with that. So let's just scrutinize that health bar. Okay, yeah, that's definitely under a third. So Armageddon will be the GG here. You don't need to use Armageddon to win this fight, unlike Theo and Elizabeth. But why waste time, especially when there's a little bit of uncertainty here? We may as well just take her out. If she's clutching her arm like that, Armageddon should be fine to finish her. There we go. Actually, took me more tries to beat her than Theo, which is kind of weird. I just got really bad luck on the first phase, honestly, and my execution of the Infuriate strat was really messy. Thank you. I haven't had that much fun in a long time. You've made me a happy woman. I'll give you this to symbolize how both of our powers touched. Ooh. And we get the Jade bookmark. I must go now, but I'll leave the Vision Quest hall open. I'll continue to watch your battles from elsewhere. Stay strong, Zoe. Thank you, Margaret. And with that, that is all of the bonus bosses of Persona 3 Portable defeated. Just one other thing I'd like to note about the Vision Quest, because we're never going to see it again. Well, okay, not in the way you'd expect, but one thing to note about the Vision Quest is that all the rewards for it are one time. When you load into a New Game Plus file, even though you may lose you're going to lose most of the items that you got from it, you cannot get the rewards again a second time, including if you're loading a Maniac New Game Plus file, which otherwise wipes out all your progress and sets you back from square one. It is really dumb. So if you're going for the bonus bosses in this game, make sure you do it on your first playthrough. Or at the very least, don't do the Vision Quest if you're not planning to take on the bonus bosses of this game. With that taken care of, I think it's time to finish off this really long boss exhibition with Persona 3 Reload. But before we roll into the Persona 3 Reload version of the Elizabeth fight, one final bit of business I want to take care of in Portable. To say I've fully completed the game, there was one last request for collecting a rare katana that I did not complete on any recording for the game, so I may as well take care of it here. This katana, it's the cursed sword, the Miyoho Muramasa. I heard it laid a curse on the Tokugawa clan long ago. I will ask that it bring good fortune to you. Please take this as your reward. Yes, once we get to Monad, we do get a final request to grab one more rare katana. It's been a while since we've seen one of those, the Miyoho Muramasa, and we get 2 somas for our efforts. You can find this katana on floor 3 and floor 10 of, floor 8 of Monad in a rare chest. There are also other items you can find in those rare chests. You can get 2 possible items, and the katana is one of them. You got about a 10% chance of a rare chest appearing on a floor, and a 50-50 shot of getting the katana, so it can take a while. Obviously, even though you can get it on floor 8, you're better off just going to floor 3, looking for a rare chest, and then getting out of there, using Ifuka's escape plan if you don't see it. Finally, we just have one last persona to fuse in this version of the game, so I just need to quickly pull a Suzaku out of the compendium, and then we can fuse Sandalphon. As you can see, I've got a 99% completion ratio of the compendium, Sandalphon is the last persona that I need to fuse. So let's pull out this Suzaku, and let's get one last fusion completed for this game. And we can see Theo's reaction to completing the compendium 100%, if he even has one. If he doesn't, well, at least I can say I 100%ed the compendium across all versions of the game. So let's get Sandalphon made, let him level up and get all the skills that I do not care about at this point in the game, because we are just beyond really needing them. This guy does give you the Akasha Arts skill card though, so he can be worth fusing on that merit, if that is a skill that you like. Akasha Arts is potentially the strongest non-Vorpal Blade skill, if it rolls 2 hits, but obviously, since the only condition for Vorpal Blade dealing full damage is that you're in great condition, it's generally easier to just fulfill that. Though it is worth noting that you are not allowed to be in great condition for the final boss fight, so that is something to consider there. Regardless, Sandalphon should be the final thing we need to fuse in order to complete the compendium, so let's just take a look at that and see if Theo has anything to say about our efforts. He does not seem to have anything to say, but, it was just there for the satisfaction. No reward for getting 100% compendium completion in any version of Persona 3, except for Reload. With that taken care of, now we can move on to the Reload fight. Before we get to the main event in Reload, there is one incidental bit of business that I would like to take care of. Well, 2 actually, but let's take care of the first and biggest piece of business. I made a save file just before I made my final fusion for the bonus boss fight. Naturally, it was Orpheus Talos. Now, I've already got the version of Orpheus Talos that I want, so I'm just going to throw any random skills onto this variant of him, because we're not going to be keeping him around anyway. So, let's get Orpheus Talos made. And of course, Orpheus Talos comes in with Victory Cry, just like he did originally. It is worth noting, though, that he doesn't produce a card for the skill anymore, so that's not a means to get it. Sure, what the heck, we'll accept them skill mutations, why not, why not? Funnily enough, Heat Riser is actually something I've got on Orpheus Talos myself, or the actual one that I created. Going to talk to Elizabeth real quick, no. So, she doesn't recognize when we first fuse Orpheus Talos, but once you create him, and then go right back in... Oh, would you look at that? You managed to fill out the entire Persona Compendium just now. As a resident of the Velvet Room, it brings me much pride and pleasure to witness such a momentous occasion. To show my sincerest appreciation for all your hard work, the cost to summon a Persona from the Compendium will be lowered as much as possible, so long as my master is amenable. You've made it this far, overcoming all odds and obstacles. I am confident you'll be able to face whatever fate has in store for you.
Very well, then.
So allow me to assist you till the very end. So, we've got our 100% complete compendium. Now, in Persona 3 Portable and Persona 3 FES, you don't get any benefit out of this. It's just the satisfaction that you did it. But you do get an additional discount for it in Reload. So if you if you want to do any last-minute compendium pulls, such as for the purpose of the bonus boss, then you're able to do that, no problem. Now I'm going to load into the pre-made file I have to take on the bonus boss to show off one thing before we actually get into the fight. I'm just beating up on some weak enemies in Fable to show off a new Theurgy. This is one that you get for getting Susanoo and Loki, Trickster. Massive almighty damage to all foes with a high chance of inflicting an ailment. Trickster is a terrible fusion spell in FES and Portable that inflicts a random ailment but can also affect your party and no damage, so considerably buffed here. Note that we also have Armageddon. Once again, it is Hillel and Satan that creates this. To accommodate it being a Theurgy now, it has a new drawback. Instead of just costing all your SP, it also costs all your HP. The only Theurgy to have an additional cost beyond your Theurgy gauge. Kinda neat. Anyways, since we're never gonna get a chance to see it otherwise, let me show off Trickster here. Pretty cool, and hey, if you're able to get access to Almighty Boost and Almighty Amp, it can probably do some pretty good damage. Not something I really feel is worth building towards. Anyways, I actually want my Theurgy gauge to be full for the bonus boss fight, so let's just load back in and quickly go over the kind of setup that we're working with here. We'll start with equipment this time. We have got a Lucifer's Blade, the ultimate weapon in the game, all stats plus 7, and gives you the magic ability that is 25% damage to all non-almighty elements. So, unfortunately, unlike the magic boost from Messiah's magic boost in Persona 3 Portable, this does not affect almighty skills. The almighty boost and amp are completely separate skills. Still, it's nice that we don't have to work this into Messiah's skill list, and indeed, I dropped a magic ability from his skill set, so that I was able to just benefit it from here, because it doesn't stack together with Messiah's instance. We also have the Armor of Light, which reduces magic damage by a ton. We've got the Shoes of Light, which, in addition to having high evade, also gives us the Ollie Dance passive. Now, it is actually a good idea to also run the Shoes of Bane, if you're willing to, take more hits on the chin from Elizabeth, because Null Dark Insta-Kill specifically is very useful for reasons I'll get into later, and like ailment nullifications, it's not in Elizabeth's standard ban list of things you're not allowed to do. You can nullify insta-kills. Finally, we have the Amrotite Necklace. Of course, this just completely stonewalls Neburos just completely blocks all his ailment skills, and this also blocks Shock and Freeze, so pretty useful all around. Elizabeth doesn't hit nearly as hard in this version compared to FES and Portable, so we're actually fine to just completely forego the something like Firm Stance, and we already have Ollie Dance built in. Finally, we've got Loki here just as my auto buffer, that's all he's here for. Orpheus Talos is set for Ice Casting. I've got him set up to maximize King and I, as well as Diamond Dust there, and he also has Heat Riser. I also have a bunch of Empowering Sutras in the event that I'm not able to switch to Orpheus Talos, and he's also got an Endure passive. You'll notice that all of the personae that I'm using, like Atropos here, who is set up for he's got a double element build, will either have Endure or Enduring Soul. We need both of those passives. Jurlinger here is just here for debilitating and charging, and that's his main shtick. If I was able to get Resist Dark onto him, I would replace that Growth 3 with it, but I just wasn't able to find a card for it, and unfortunately the Antique Store does not trade one to you, so that's just a weakness I'm going to suffer, but he's not really going to come out when it's coming into play anyway. And ideally, we're never going to have to really worry too much about dark elements. Finally, well, actually not finally, but we've got Messiah up here. He's got Concentrate, Resist Fizz, and is set up for fire casting with Inferno, and has Enduring Soul for us. Over here, we've got Thanatos, who is set up for using Scarlet Havoc, so he's got Crit Rate Amp, Apt Pupil, Multi-Target Boost, Slash Boost, and Amp. He's got another stack of Enduring Soul and Resist Fizz, and then that A-Gown there is actually a last-minute change to, my skill set that I just incorporated. And it's going to be a very, very important use for it that I'll explain later. Again, this ties into the Shoes of Bane, and this will ideally let me easily handle the upcoming battle without needing the Shoes of Bane. Anyways, with that taken care of, or rather that established, let's get to floor 255. And let's return to the Monad passage door over here and make our way in. Should we explore Monad? Thankfully, there is an option to jump to the furthest point. You do not have to trawl through 10 floor or 9 floors of Monad every time you want an attempt on the boss fight, thankfully. So, yeah, we are spared that issue this go around. Alright, steel yourself, because we've got, once again, a tough battle coming up. There are some new quirks to this version of the fight, as if this battle already didn't have enough moving parts.
I've been waiting for you. The adversary I'd like you to defeat is currently standing before you. Yes, to put it simply, I am referring to myself. I have always longed to understand who I am. My master understands this desire of mine, as do you, I'm sure. Those who set foot in the Velvet Room are all destined to embark on a journey of self-discovery. Perhaps you could guide me to the answer I seek. Would you do me the honor of engaging me in battle?
Well, of course. Why else would I be here?
You have my thanks. Now, shall we dance?
Is it just me? Or does it seem like she wants to fight? What? Her power readings, they're off the charts. Who is she?
To start this fight out, we're going to immediately go into debilitating Elizabeth. With our auto buffs, that's going to allow us to fire off a very, very potent King and I to open this battle and get us off to the right start here.
My living as an elevator attendant, but I know several effective ways to inflict pain. Don't worry, I'm not as fragile as I look. Try to kill me if you can. Your fate.
Notably, we can tell that we actually got a dodge here, because Elizabeth's critical cut-in animation won't happen until the first time she actually lands an attack. Now, let's pop over to Orpheus Talos over here, and let us hit Elizabeth with a King and I. You're hitting into her elemental weakness is actually a lot more important this time. The damage you deal to her if you're hitting neutrally is much lower. Note here, we've already got an instance of a new mechanic to this fight. Notice how she switched into Thor and not Jack Frost. Whenever you hit Elizabeth's weakness, she will actually skip a phase of her battle. She will go on to the next persona in line. So now she's on Thor, we're going to switch over to Atropos and hit her with Phanta Ray here. Some good damage there. And now she is on to Metatron. The reason I'm using Atropos is because she is resistant to light, dark, and wind, making her a pretty effective switch-in for Cuchulainn, Metatron, and the next persona she has in line, Alice. We do not actually want to face down Alice. The reason for that is that Alice, in this version, instead of Mamudon, she has her signature Die For Me. And while she doesn't always use it, Die For Me has a really obnoxious quality to it, where it actually bypasses homunculi. You cannot survive Die For Me off of homunculi, and it will chew up your endurance abilities. That is why I have Endure and Enduring Soul. We do need Enduring Soul to get through this fight, and it is mandatory. It is not something you can avoid having. You must have it for this battle if you want to win it. If it gets expended early, you lose, so we need to make our way around that. Another rule to this battle that I haven't brought up yet, because I haven't really had a chance to really highlight it, is that you cannot use High Counter in this version of the fight. High Counter is a banned skill. If you have any instance of High Counter on your team and switch to it, Elizabeth will auto-kill you. Note the Megadolon coming out from Masakado here. It is not the max damage Megadolon. It is not the damage cap variant. It is just a simple Megadolon. She'll concentrate it up to do a lot of damage, but it can be evaded and not be much of a concern. What I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to slow my roll a little bit. We're not really in a hurry, so I'm going to extend Heat Riser, we're going to set up Debilitate, and then we are going to actually wait a bit to continue our attack. Here she is coming in with her own Concentrate. I'm not too concerned about that. Again, Elizabeth doesn't hit nearly as hard as in this version of the game. Let's switch over to Yerlinger here, get the Debilitate up. We will have Jack Frost coming up here, and then I'm actually going to switch back into Messiah and set up a Concentrate. Okay, not too bad, not too bad. Regenerate 3 is a nice little bit of healing to keep us healthy throughout this entire battle. Let's get Concentrate set up here. And one thing I do need to work in eventually is I need to get a charge set up. Tarunda is fine. That does mean, I'm actually going to slow my roll a little bit here. I'm going to take a bit of a slower approach to this. Let's go back to Orpheus Talos, get our Heat Riser extended for the rest of our buffs, and actually get our attack boost set back up here. Elizabeth is going to Tsukukaja, and Phanta Ray is coming out. Not too worried about that. What I'm actually going to do now is I'm going to switch back into Yerlinger, do another Debilitate, get rid of that Tsukukaja on her, and extend her other debuffs. And then we're going to switch into Thanatos and do a Gown on her in order to skip the Alice phase of the battle. Divine Judgment, unfortunately, not much you can do about that. That is a guaranteed 50% HP loss. Pretty nasty, but not the end of the world. Okay, next up we're going to switch into Thanatos and do a gown here. And I'm probably going to have to heal up, but I want to get my charge in effect eventually. We also want to be careful here about, let's see. Just thinking about what the ideal move here. I think I'll use a Soma, because my SP is actually getting pretty low here. Let's actually have Fuka use her Theurgy here. Because either extending my buffs is good, or getting Concentrate and Charge up. Nope, that's healing. That's not exactly what I wanted, but that's fine. We'll just do the Precious Egg here. Let me switch over to Orpheus Talos real quick. And let me do a Precious Egg here. It's a little messy on the start of this fight, but you want to be very particular about when you go for your power hits. Concentrate coming out from Masakato. And then the Mickey Dalown. I would actually like to see this hit, just so you see how much damage we're being struck into. Yeah, so not too bad. Perfectly survivable if you have Heat Riser and Debilitate in effect. What we're going to do now is we need to get charge set up for later in the fight. I really should have done this sooner, but I'm playing this a little messy right now. Alright, attack has reverted, defense has reverted, and accuracy and evasion have reverted. That's okay, that's okay. Here comes the Concentrate. And then the Inferno. Ideally we dodge, but it's not a big deal if we get hit. Thankfully we did dodge. Okay, so our buffs are starting to expire now. But now we've got the charge in effect. We're going to be saving that for later. What we need to do now, of course, is get Heat Riser in effect. And I think this time I'm just going to do a slightly more low-key attack here to chip her down a bit. Get some damage actually out on the field here. Okay, that's fine. Let's switch over to Messiah real quick and hit her with an Inferno. There we go. Not quite as good as if we could get the Concentrate. I don't really need to hit her too hard going into the rest of the battle here. Okay. Hey, nice, double dodge. We'll go into Yerlinger and get Debilitate set up. There we go. As long as we're on a persona that has 99 endurance, we should be able to survive Masakato's Mega Dalown, no problem. Because I need to skip Alice's turn in order to maintain or avoid having my endurances chewed through, this does add a little bit of time to Phase 1. Fortunately, it's not going to matter as much for Phase 2. Alright, get the Alice skip here. And a nice little bit of chip damage while we're at it. Poison Mist coming out. I'm not at all threatened by that. And then what's the next thing she's going to go for? Virus Breath? Again, not particularly worried about that. Looks scary, but it's not a big deal. So let's get over to Orpheus Talos, do the Heat Riser here. Depending on how much damage we take, or if we dodge it, I could get another Concentrate up, and that actually would be pretty helpful. One other thing you can do is you can have Fuka repeatedly scan Elizabeth in order to build up her own Theurgy, allowing you to get another Oracle out through the fight. And honestly, I may as well do that. Nice! The dodge came through there. Let's actually do that. Okay, yep, and as you can see on Masakato, she's immune to everything. That doesn't really matter if you're going for, what is it? Does not matter if you're going for, a Theurgy damage here. But obviously, not really good to hit into if you don't have the Theurgy up. Okay, she's going for Tarukaja here. And Brave Blade coming out. Brave Blade critting can be a bit of a problem, so be mindful of that. I think what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna go for the Diamond Dust on her. There we go.
Magnificent! Your power is every bit as impressive as I'd hoped. But the curtain has just risen. Show me your best performance.
Alright, we have officially entered Phase 2, and this is going to be where we need our first endurance ability to come through. She is going to set up Racunda on us and go into a concentrate. What we need to do here, all our buffs are expiring, that's not a big deal, because it's not going to matter this turn, so let's see here. What we're going to do here is we are going to switch over to Messiah, and we are going to use an Empowering Sutra on ourselves. I have a bunch of Empowering Sutras in reserve, enough that I could probably get by without using Heat Riser. I just got that to show you a more consistent way to go about having buffs up at all times. And this will be the first max damage Mickey DeLown. There is no way to avoid this unless you have the buffs and debuffs going into this to immediately uncork a good Theurgy onto Elizabeth. You just kind of have to suffer that. With that taken care of, though, we can now get a Heat Riser up to ourselves, and then we can switch into Thanatos and do a Scarlet Havoc to damage Elizabeth right into Phase 3 of the battle. Here comes a God's Hand from Thor. Not too concerned about that. Got the dodge right quick. She's gonna Tarukaja herself, but that's not that big a deal. There we go. Now, let's switch into Thanatos and uncork Scarlet Havoc to get ourselves into Phase 3 of the battle. Okay.
Oh no! Marvelous. You wield such power.
The performance is underway. I shall give you something to remember.
Alright, now we're in Phase 3 of the Elizabeth battle. This is where it gets kind of interesting. Now Elizabeth's pattern is that she's going to use 2 persona per turn. She's going to use one on her initial action, and she's going to use a second one on her follow-up action. And what changes is if you strike her weakness, she will use a different persona on the second action of her next turn. So this turn, she's going to be using Cert and Jack Frost. Say the previous turn I hit the weakness of whatever she used, which could potentially be Metatron, so it would be a darkness attack. She would instead use Neburos if that was the case. Next turn she's going to use Thor and Kukulin, but if I use, what is it? Inferno on her, like so. There we go. Then this turn, she is actually going to use Cert. And that's actually convenient, because I can hit her with a Diamond Dust, and her next turn would of course be Metatron and Alice, but by hitting her with, there we go, that's good, that's good. Hitting her with Diamond Dust this turn means that she will actually use, let's see here, sorry, I'm having trouble reading my notes, Jack Frost again, so that's what we're going to do here, is use Diamond Dust, and that'll allow us to do another Alice skip. Now, we're only going to have to face Alice once per, round of combat in this, though, actually, I do need to get my notes up here. We're on Cycle 1. She's on a 15-turn cycle now, so I need to be mindful of that. We're on the first iteration of that cycle. So, let's see. We got the Jack Frost there. What I'm going to do now is set up Heat Riser on myself. I'm actually going to slow my roll a little bit at this point. As you can see, our SP is getting pretty low, so I want to make sure I'm in good standing with that. And I'm not going to bother setting up Concentrate at this point. It's better to just go for consistent damage at this point, and we'll eventually chip down Elizabeth. I might not even go for Heat Riot, or not Heat Riot, Debilitate at this point. Let's get the Precious Egg up here. Alright. Next up is going to be Jack Frost and Thor. And the next turn is going to be our first instance of having to deal with Alice. Alice is her first persona in her lineup, so we just have to deal with that. Unfortunately, I have a very straightforward and easy way to manage that. What we're going to do here is we are actually going to use the Humble Guard command. Remember that you always dodge insta-kill skills if you're guarding. You don't have to worry about them in that case. So that means regardless of what Alice does, I'm not going to be under any serious threats. Next turn, she's going to use Kukulin and Metatron, which is no big deal, so what we're going to do here is we're just going to set up a Heat Riser here. And actually, I think this will, well, because she's setting up all these buffs on herself, I would probably want to do this anyway. This is probably a good opportunity to use Debilitate on her. So, let's do so. Get at least one iteration of Debilitate in. switch over here. So now we've looped back, and we're actually on phase, or cycle 2 here. And the ending of this is a little bit different. There goes that. We got Rakukaja up. Ooh. Let's see. You know what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to go for Debilitate again. I absolutely want to make sure she does not have any bonus accuracy evasion. I don't really want her to have any extra attack. Man, she's going hard with the debuffs. A bit of the AI roulette you have to deal with. Unfortunately, this turn we do actually have to attack her because she's going into an Alice cycle, so I really want to make sure she doesn't actually do anything too nasty to me on the next turn. So we're just going to switch over to Atropos here. And we are going to use Thunder Rain on her. There we go. Yeah, as if this fight didn't have enough moving parts. The nice thing about this iteration of the fight is that when we get into phase 4, the final phase, she will actually communicate for us when it's time to use Armageddon. So that is, if you know what you're doing in this fight, you'll be good to go there. Alright. Now hopefully I can actually... Ooh, let's have Fuka do something here. May as well let her get a little bit of help in. Okay, charged up and focus. I'm still going to go with Heat Riser here, because I'd rather hit her on the following turn than this one. So let's switch over to Orpheus Talos, and let's get a Heat Riser up. Alright, not bad, not bad. Sexy Dance coming out. And this turn she's going to use Thor. That's fine by me. If I did hit her weakness, her alternate on this turn is Masakado. Not exactly a big deal if she can't get a concentrate up, but still, I'd generally rather avoid him. So let's see, she was using Thor here. So I want to hit her with Phanta Ray. And now we've got Heat Riser and Concentrate up, so this is actually an opportunity to get some really big damage out. Very nice. Elizabeth still has 10,000 or 20,000 HP like she does in Persona 3 FES Unportable, and of course your goal once again is to get her underneath that 10,000 marker so you can finish her off with a single Armageddon. Alrighty, what do I want to do here? So we've got the Alice phase coming up, so once again I just want to switch over to Orpheus Talos. And we will guard here. It actually would be really nice if she used the die for me in this situation, because that is just a guaranteed dodge, so I'd be able to piggyback the guard into the next attack she'd do, and spare myself a ton of damage. Okay. So what we're gonna do here is once again use Heat Riser. Her damage is going to be a little bit heavier here, because she was able to get that Tarukaja up. Ideally we dodge a couple attacks here, but it's not critical that we do that. And Kogaon coming out. Alright, so we're at the end of a cycle here. Now she's going to go into Alice and Masakado, guaranteed. So once again, we want to guard, and once again, it would be nice if she used Die for me here, because I'm going to dodge it no matter what. And there we go. Remember, Homunculi does not work on that. You will be sad if you try to Homunculi into that. And, conveniently, we are set up to just tank a whole bunch of damage from that. What I'm actually going to do here is I'm going to extend Heat Riser for a little bit. And the next turn I'm going to use a Soma. Gotta get those, gotta get that SP restored eventually. There we go. Good dodge, good dodge. Another Diamond Dust coming out. Actually, you know what? Let's play a little bit riskier. Let's go into Messiah here, and let's go for an Inferno. It's more fun if you play it a little bit riskier, right? There we go. Got the Thunder Rain coming out now. Not too bad. We should be able to survive this just fine. If she gets a crit here, that's actually a bit of a problem. Okay, no crits. So what we need to do next is switch over to Orpheus Talos and hit the Diamond Dust. Again, we're trying to prevent an Alice strike here. And we should be fine. Here comes the Kogaon. Nice, we got the dodge. Alright. Yeah, that was a little bit risky, but you know what? It's fun to play risky every now and again. Okay. Now what we'll do is actually use the Soma. Boom, boop, boop. Sorry if I made you sweat there. For what it's worth, I'm sweating pretty badly on that too. I knew there was a very real chance that would backfire horribly on me. Alright, Nebulos into Thor. Okay. This works out because I was looking to set up Heat Riser again anyway. So let's do that. It's also important that our next major strike on Elizabeth is when we're using a persona that has Endure on it. It cannot be one of our Enduring Soul Personae, because we've already exhausted that. She's going into an Alice attack now, so once again we'll guard.
Your fate is in the palm.
And next cycle, or next turn, is Cuchulainn and Metatron. So I'm going to extend Heat Riser here, or Heat Riser. Again, if I attacked her weakness, instead of Metatron, she would call in Masakado. Nice, we got the dodge there. Kogaon coming out. What I'm going to do here, actually, is I'm going to go into Messiah, and I'm going to hit a Concentrate, because we're waiting for her buffs to expire anyway, so we may as well up the damage of our next strike. Defense reverted.
Shuffling the dice.
I'm also going to go into your Lunger and do a Debilitate onto her. Because when I do my next strike, I need to be on something that has Endure up. So let's go into your Lunger and do Debilitate, and then we're going to hit her with a Phanta Ray from Atropos. Because remember, Atropos has that Endure. We need the Endure effect up, because the next Mega Delaun that's going to come out, we need to actually survive it again. Alright, so let's get over to Atropos, and let's hit Phanta Ray over here. Oh, I just made a mistake. That was the wrong thing. Whoopsie. Well, this is about to get pretty interesting. I also just made the fight take a little bit longer. I meant to do Thunder Rain. Okay, thankfully that wasn't the disaster I thought it might be. That did set me back a little bit. Okay, well, that's unfortunate. That's what happens when you lose track of what you're doing. Sorry, this fight has a lot of moving parts, so it's pretty easy for that. That is a bit of an unfortunate setback for myself, though. Luckily, the Alice there did not utilize, what is it? Should not utilize... Oh my god, my brain is just completely shut down. Die for me. Okay, so, you know what? What I'm actually going to do here now, since I actually healed her up a little bit, we can pretty safely switch into Thanatos and do a Scarlet Havoc. By the time we get her HP down again, we'll have another Theurgy built up. Ooh. Okay, I actually got really nervous with what I did there. Uh-oh, no, that's bad. Well, I just choked this fight. We need Armageddon to win here. That's beautiful. It couldn't have happened any better there. Let me get us back to it.
But the curtain. Drop. Shuffling the dice.
This one.
Ooh. Marvelous. You wield such power.
Okay, I was able to skip the first Mega Delaun there by timing my Scarlet Havoc a bit better. So now we're actually going into the next phase with Enduring Soul still in effect, so that actually gives me a bit more of leeway with how I play here. Though obviously, I'm not going to bore you with the details of me trying to run this fight back, so I'll get us a bit closer to when we're moving on to Phase 4. Well, we did see what happens when you move on to Phase 4, and you're not prepared for it.
Your fate is in the cards.
What to do? That's a problem.
Shuffling the deck.
Alright, made it to Phase 4 again. I totally didn't have a failed attempt where I accidentally equipped a voided skill. This is totally the second try that I had. Anyways, the guaranteed Meggy DeLown comes out. We need an Endure to survive this one. Now, hypothetically, if this was a third attempt, I wouldn't have failed the Enduring Soul skip, hypothetically, if this was a third attempt, I would have failed the Enduring Soul proc skip, that's a bit unfortunate, but, that's not the case. It's clearly my second attempt. That's why I was just using Endure there for flavor. Anyways, when Elizabeth does that, Armageddon will kill guaranteed, and you win. You can use Armageddon even if you're at 1 HP. It does not matter.
I believed I could find my answer by challenging someone stronger than me. Alas, I was mistaken. I have received no such revelation as to who I am, not even in defeat. No, perhaps I was too hasty. Perhaps I've already found my answer. Only I can understand who I am, and only I can decide who I am. Now, I believe congratulations are in order. You have overcome the most difficult obstacle I've placed in your path. You shall receive your reward in the same manner as always. And please accept this as well. It is no reward, but a token of my gratitude.
And for one last time, we get the platinum bookmark once again.
Well then, good day.
I knew I would have a couple chokes due to the pressure of recording. that was so embarrassing that, because on my practice run, when I actually had the setup that I went with, I actually got it on the first try, and as a matter of fact, it was slightly messy in comparison, because I didn't think the card had gone onto Thanatos, so I wasn't able to do Alice skips in phase 1 of the battle. So, yeah, just a little bit of the pressure of recording getting to me, causing me to screw up a few things there. But this is the final request. It seems you have completed a request. One moment, please, while I check. This request requires no confirmation, of course. It was the last thing I'll ask of you.
Very well.
Here is your reward, the gift of ultimate power. No matter where you go or what you do, I'm certain you will persevere and overcome every single obstacle in your way.
have my thanks.
Thank you so much for indulging my curiosity. Please take this as your reward. And, of course, our reward is the Omnipotent Orb, the ultimate accessory in the game, making you immune to everything. And with that, all requests have been marked complete. Which means you will not receive any more requests from me.
Marvelous.
To think this day would come, it's quite moving, really. I know I may have had some rather unreasonable requests, but you performed so splendidly.
You have my thanks.
Allow me to give you my formal thanks. Did you need anything else? No, Elizabeth, that is all.
Very well.
With that, we have 100% completed all 3 versions of Persona 3. Okay, there are 4 versions of Persona 3, but you know what? The ones that are main focus of this LP, I've 100%ed FES, I've 100%ed Reload, and I've 100%ed Portable. With that, the journey is over. When we return, it'll be time to find the answer. Hope to see you then. Bye.
I don't dispute the doubts you've outlined, no. But it's my right to waste your time.